Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallim. I apologize for the delay today. I was completing this presentation on my own and I was making some changes which I'm going to explain to you today, inshallah. So today, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to be doing gems of the Quran for the entire second juz Sayaqul, which entirely consists of Surah Baqarah, Surah number 2, verses 142 to 252. We will be doing selections of the surah in this juz. How will I be doing that? So Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah ta'ala has a book called Jawahirul Quran. In that he has selected two types of gems, one that he calls jewels and one that he calls pearls. The jewels by Imam al-Ghazali are those ayat-e-Qur'aniyah, verses of Qur'an that pertain to the Dhat of Allah Ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala's essential being, the sifat of Allah Ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala's attributes, the actions of Allah Ta'ala. Means basically for us to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala has revealed him how Allah Ta'ala has revealed himself to be. This is the part that should dwell in our iman, our marifat. And the pearls he identifies as those ayat-e-Qur'aniyah, verses of Qur'an al-Kareem, which describe Sirat al-Mustaqim. And we discussed that yesterday, that path of continually journeying to increasingly please Allah Ta'ala through obedience, submission and humility. So the pearls are those ayat-e-Qur'aniyah which describe Sirat al-Mustaqim and also inspire, urge and motivate humanity to follow it. And the third thing, as you will see, is that I have selected quite a few additional verses. So I would say about half of the verses are those that are selected by Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah ta'ala, and at the end of today I will let you know which were the jewels and which were the pearls, and if you will, we can call my selection the gems, inshallah. Alright? Obviously, I agree with Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah ta'ala, but as I mentioned to you last time, that I've selected additional verses for this reason, that sometimes there are particular predicaments or misunderstandings prevalent amongst English-speaking Muslims, and also we are at a level of spirituality and iman and a level of knowledge that is much, much lower than that which existed at the time of Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah ta'ala. So what he may have viewed as essential knowledge or essential means of spirituality, he was addressing an audience that had a much, much stronger and advanced background, and they were much more conversant and literate in Qur'an al-Kareem, and they were obviously much more practicing believers. So for us to build up that base, I have selected these additional verses as well. So without any further, and let me make a clarification. I misstated something last time because I was being a bit over ambitious. So this series is going to be selecting verses in every juz in the manner that I described, and only talking and explaining those selected verses. What I will not be doing in this series, but inshallah I will do at some point in the future, and other ulama, shayukh can do and may have done and will do inshallah, is a summarized contents and overview of the entire juz, what sometimes we call khulasa Quran, or the summarized contents of the Quran al-Kareem. So I will actually not be doing that. I will rather be, instead of giving a summarized overview, I will actually select these verses, particular verses, and discuss them in detail. And that is what we did last time as well, and this is what we will do today, inshallah. The last thing is that today, inshallah, we will cover the entire second juz, however long it may take me to do so, and all of you are free to listen to whatever extent your schedule allows, and it will inshallah be immediately uploaded to the YouTube channel, and you can listen to it later, re-listen to it, take better notes later, whether later today, later in Ramadan, or after the month of Ramadan, inshallah. And at some point in the next few days, inshallah, I will complete the video presentation of the first juz, and I will upload that as well. But today, inshallah, we are going to be covering all of the verses that we have selected for the second juz. The first verse, so Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah number 2, verse 143. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وكذلك جعلناكم أمة وسطا لتكونوا شهداء على الناس ويكون الرسول عليكم شهيدا. So there are three main things in this verse. The first, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning, and obviously all these verses have a broader context in the verses that precede them and follow them, then a broader context in the Quran al-Kareem, in the surah of Surah Al-Baqarah, and then a broader what we call intertextual context to be interrelated with other verses throughout the Quran al-Kareem, and then a further context to be interrelated with the different hadith from the Sunnah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam and the Sirah. And obviously we cannot go into that level of detailed commentary, but we want to highlight specific lessons from these verses of Quran al-Kareem, so that inshallah when we do our tilawah and recitation of the Quran this month of Ramadan, or we do sim'a and we listen to Quran and Taraweeh, that we have some sense, some connection, some understanding, some knowledge, some appreciation of the verses of Quran al-Kareem that we are reciting and we are listening to. And again, you can always replay this later at a slower playback speed. So three things in this verse. The first is ummatan wasata. This is a place in Quran al-Kareem Allah Ta'ala described the fundamental foundational attribute, the defining feature of this ummah, that some people translate this as a middle ummah. I am translating as a balanced ummah, because the word moderation has been misused unfortunately in contemporary times by suggesting that to be moderate we must somehow abandon classical Islamic teachings or abandon conservative or orthodox positions. This is not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in Quran al-Kareem, that we must be extremely intense in our taqwa, extremely intense in our love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but as a community amongst the broader humanity we are balanced. We guide with love, we guide with wisdom, we treat people with justice, we treat people with fairness, we do not posture with any arrogance or pride. The fact that we have iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and believe in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have compassion for fellow humans even if they may not yet have iman, the same way that Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had compassion for humans at his time who had not yet accepted iman. So to be obviously a ummah that is wasat, we need the ummah to have individual members, individuals who are also wasat. So it's very important that as individuals we must realize and try to become balanced in our understanding, balanced in our behavior. Some of the ulama have gone, and there's many details that have been mentioned on this. The second thing is so that we may be shuhada'a ala nas, so that we may bear witness, be witnesses for humanity. What? Now, many of us as individuals are nowhere near fulfilling this role, but to be witnesses for humanity means that humanity who has yet to discover Allah Ta'ala needs a sign, a beacon, some testimony to the reality that yes, Allah Ta'ala exists, some sign, some testimony that you can live a virtuous, pious, just life, some sign and testimony that you can balance worship, ibadah with good character, akhlaq, and also being a functioning member of society. Humanity needs some witnesses for that. Another meaning of this is that to be witnesses on the Day of Judgment. What does that mean? Lest humanity say, oh, there was no such thing as Iman, there was no such thing as Islam, there was no such thing as Quran, there was no such thing as Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Allah Ta'ala will present, look at this ummah, there's a section of humanity that is a testimony that these things did existed, that there was another way of life. Now imagine you and me, we are not living lives that are worthy, that Allah Ta'ala can use those lives to be shaheed. So then, possibly anticipating this very reality, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says the third thing in this verse, وَيَكُونُ الرَّسُولُ عَلَيْكُمْ شَهِيدًا. And then Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam himself will be, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam will be evidence and testimony. So another take this is the ummah, and that itself will then in a transitive way be a testimony on all of humanity. Okay. If you see these 3 dots here, so when I put the 3 dots, it's to indicate to you that this is not the complete ayah. So ayah number 143 continues. Sometimes you will see the 3 dots before. That means I'm mentioning something that comes later in the ayah. Sometimes you will see the 3 dots before and after. That means I have selected a part of that ayah, that verse, which has something before and after it. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the end of this verse, at the end of 143, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna Allaha bin nasi la ra'ufur rahim. So the way we connect it back to this is Allah ta'ala has been kind and merciful, ra'uf, that He is gentle and kind and tenderly loving and affectionate, and rahim, that He is absolutely merciful. And about whom is Allah ta'ala saying this? Not just the believers. Inna Allaha bin nasi. Indeed, Allah Ta'ala with all of humanity has been extremely tenderly kind and gentle and infinitely merciful. Now, how does this relate to the start of the verse? It relates to the start of the verse by sending Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by enabling Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's mission of da'wah to be successful, such that there is an ummah, and by having the ummah that is wasat, to exist within humanity, that is a manifestation of Allah Ta'ala being Ra'uf and Rahim. So this is how we can understand what a tremendous duty and responsibility it is on us to be in that sense, this Na'ib, this Khalifa, this representative of truth and haqq and of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam on this earth. And all of us know how very, very far as individuals and communities and a collective ummah we have fallen from this, but inshallah all of us should also know how perfectly and completely the first ummah, Sahaba Kiram radiyallahu ta'ala anhu ajma'in, all the companions, each and every single one of them individually and each and every single one of them collectively, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in, were truly such an ummah and were a manifestation of Allah ta'ala being Ra'uf and Rahim to all of humanity. And that's why it's important, along with Quran and tafsir, along with hadith and sunnah, along with seerah, we must know and study the lives of the Sahaba Kiram radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in, the blessed companions of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The next verse is verse 146. The next verse that we have selected is verse 146. This is talking about initially the people of the book. الَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابَ يَعْرِفُونَهُ كَمَا يَعْرِفُونَ أَبْنَاءَهُم. That those upon whom Allah Ta'ala says that I, Allah, in my majesty and knowledge and wisdom and mercy and guidance, I bestowed upon them al-kitab, scriptural revelation in the form of Torah and Injil. يَعْرِفُونَهُ, they all know you, they all know him, they all know the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Or you can say they all know the kitab, they all know the scripture. يَعْرِفُونَهُ, they all know the scripture, Quran al-Kareem. كَمَا يَعْرِفُونَ أَبْنَاءَهُم, in the same manner in which they know and recognize their own children. In other words, they know it intimately, they know it personally, they know it with a level of certainty. They know that Quran is haqq, and they know that the Prophet ﷺ is truly a Nabi. وَإِنَّ فَرِيقًا مِّنْهُمْ لَيَكْتُمُونَ الْحَقَّ لَيَكْتُمُونَ الْحَقَّ. But there is a group amongst them, a segment amongst them, that they conceal the truth, وَهُمْ يَعْلَمُونَ, even well knowing. So they knowingly conceal the truth. What does this mean? This means, so we can say, recognize can be they recognize the Quran to be scripture, or they recognize the Prophet to be the true Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Either way, they conceal it. So they were telling people, no, it's not really scripture, or it's just, magic, it's just soothsaying. Or they knew that Prophet was a Nabi, but they said, no, he's not a Prophet. And this is not all of those who don't believe. This is why Allah Ta'ala said, وَإِنَّ فَرِيقًا مِّنْهُمْ. So just like that today, the overwhelming majority of people who don't have Iman, it's not that they know it to be haqq and they conceal it. No, they don't know. But there's a small group like this. Some of them may still be, I don't know, maybe Christian priests and Jewish rabbis, few of them, maybe few professors of Islamic studies in the world. Allahu Alam. Alright? But the lesson that we take from this is we should never conceal the truth. Right? Yaktumun al-haq This is a bad attribute we never want to have. And that's why we should share deen and spread deen and share and spread virtue to whomsoever we are in touch with. And the very next verse, verse 147, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says a very intense thing. It's intense because it is actually initially directly addressed to Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so sometimes I call this the ayat tarbiyah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing tarbiyah of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the Quran al-Kareem for all of Ummah and all of insan to see. Allah ta'ala says, Al-haqqu min rabbika. Haqq, truth, comes from your Rabb. Rabbika, so it's not Rabbikum, the Allah is addressing all the believers. Rabbika, Allah Ta'ala is addressing the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that truth comes from your Rabb. You singular Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's Rabb. فَلَا تَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْمُمْتَرِينَ, and never ever let yourself be amongst the doubters. Now what does this mean? Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam can never ever doubt Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can never doubt Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what it meant was, what Allah ta'ala was telling the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so there are two meanings, two levels. What Allah ta'ala was telling the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that just because these people, even though they know you to be true, they deny you, never let that create any nagging self-doubt in yourself, that am I really going to be able to succeed in this message of Nabuwah? The reality of you being a prophet has nothing to do with people acknowledging that. Has nothing to do even with people who know that to be true acknowledging that. Now think of ourselves as individuals. Think it in a personal, emotional way. Now somebody, let's say you're a doctor. Somebody who doesn't know you're a doctor, they don't believe you to be a doctor, that won't disturb you. But somebody who knows you're a doctor, somebody who knows absolutely certainly, the person who handed you the medical school certificate, and they start telling the world, you're not a doctor, you're a fraud, and you might have a little self-doubt, not on your being a doctor, not on the school that certified you as a doctor, but you will have some level of, so maybe the word doubt isn't correct here, but I think you understand what we're trying to convey. And obviously the second level of this verse is that it's not specifically about Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but it's addressed to all of the community alive at his time. That haqq comes from your Rabb, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and let none of you ever become amongst the doubters. You should not doubt the truth because others doubt the truth. This is the lesson for us. And that happens to us. Sometimes you will meet someone who doubts the truth of Islam. That doesn't mean you should doubt the truth of Islam, because the truth of Islam is not based on other people believing it. It's based on the fact that Al-haqqu min rabbik, that it came from your Rabb, it came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The next verse, verse 148. So if you see on the left, I've made small little topics. It's not a translation of the verse. It's a topical header for us to understand what the verse is about. Race towards the good. وَلِكُلٍّ وِجْهَةٍ, that every single human being, every single person has a direction, has a mission, has something they travel towards. A jihah. Here it's wijha, but it can also be jiha in Arabic. Has a direction, a purpose. Alright? Huwa muwalliha, and that person turns towards that direction, that purpose, that mission. So Allah Ta'ala is telling us, this ummah, how it will be wasat. Fastabakul khairat. So what we should do is we're going to turn towards khairat in such a way that we are going to be racing towards good. We're going to be racing towards good. And what it means, fastabaku, because sometimes people translate it as compete with one another. In one sense it means that, but this is very dangerous. There's no competition in deen, right? What it means is that we're all running towards a finish line. And because there are others who are running with us, we take strength from that. Because there are others who are running with us, they push us to run farther and faster. That's all it means. It doesn't mean anything else of the English word competition, that we wish that others should lose and we should win. We get happy when we overtake them. We get happy when they go slow. No. Deen is that you wish everybody goes even faster than you in deen. And your wish that they even go faster and you see them go faster motivates you to go faster in deen. This is what this verse means. Alright? Okay. And you should do this when and how? أَيْنَمَا تَكُونُوا. Next is أَيْنَمَا تَكُونُوا. Wherever you may say be, يَأْتِ بِكُمُ اللَّهُ جَمِيعًا. That wherever you are, Allah Ta'ala will bring you all together. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَكُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Indeed, Allah Ta'ala is powerful over all things. So the the connection between the parts of this verse is that when we all sincerely well wish for one another to race in deen, and we want everyone to be faster than us, and that motivates us to also move faster, then Allah Ta'ala will bring us together. And indeed Allah Ta'ala is all powerful over each and every single thing. Verse 150. So this is the end of 150. And this is, Allah Ta'ala was continuing in this passage, all these verses about how to talk to people who dispute with you, who have argument with you, who disbelieve, right? And ultimately that Allah Ta'ala is telling the Prophet ﷺ and the community and to all of us that we shouldn't worry or be afraid if other people don't accept Islam or don't agree with us. That shouldn't be a source of fear for us. And here Allah Ta'ala says, فَلَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ وَخْشَوْنِي. Do not fear them, rather only fear me. Do not fear them. Don't fear anyone who's arguing with you, who doesn't believe in you, who conceals the truth, who mocks you. This also has to do with turning, this is from turning the Qibla towards Kaaba, Makkah Mukarramah from Bayt al-Muqaddas. Don't fear them at all. فَلَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ. And do not fear them at all. وَخْشَوْنِي. Allah Ta'ala is saying, and only fear me. And what will happen? وَلَأُتِمَّ نِعْمَتِي عَلَيْكُمْ. And thereby, Allah is saying, I will complete and perfect my blessing upon you. So one, by fearing me, but also by the first part, by not fearing them. Because if you fear them and you worry about them and you cater to them, or in a contemporary context, if you amend the deen, reform the deen, change the deen to cater to them, then you will lose the complete ni'mah, you will lose the complete blessing of deen that Allah Ta'ala sent upon us. وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَهْتَدُونَ. And then you yourself, so tahtadun means to you yourself to follow guidance. One is to get hidayah, one is to be rightly guided. To follow the guidance is called ihtida. But if you fear others, you won't be able to follow the guidance, because you'll be worried about what are they saying, what do they think. So this is the lesson for us, that we should only fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only worry what will Allah ta'ala think about me, and to remain firm and steadfast on deen. And it's also an explanation of what came before. Ummah wasat does not mean moderately catering to others. No. Ummah wasat means to be balanced, to never fear anyone, to fear only Allah Ta'ala, to strive for the complete blessing, and to follow all guidance. Verse 151, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning what I call the Quranic concept of prophethood. What does it mean to be a Nabi? What is the mission that Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been tasked with? Allah Ta'ala first and foremost, Allah Ta'ala alone can tell us that in Quran al-Kareem. So Allah Ta'ala says, كَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا فِيكُمْ رَسُولًا. Just that we have sent you as a Rasul. Minkum, you are from them. Fikum, you are in them. Alright? So we have sent among you a Rasul from among you. Yatlu alaykum ayatina. That he will recite to you the verses of our revelation. Number 2, وَيُزَكِّيكُمْ. And he will purify your heart and your character and your mind from false concepts. Number 3, وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ الْكِتَابَ. And he will then teach you the deep meanings of that book. Wal hikmata, and then he will teach you additional things beyond that book, which is wisdom. وَيُعَلِّمُكُمْ مَا لَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْلَمُونَ. And his teaching you of the kitab and his teaching you of hikmah will be a type of him teaching you all these things that you never ever knew and you never could have known. And that teaching continues. That is the sunnah and the seerah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is a very important verse of Quran Kareem, because it clarifies a misunderstanding that unfortunately some people had. Misunderstanding 1, that Islam is only about Quran. Now that is the first of the 4 parts of the prophetic mission. Yatlu alaykum ayatina, that he will recite to you the verses of Revelation. That's not all that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will do. Second misconception, all you have to do is read Quran. No. If Allah Ta'ala was revealing Quran to the Prophet ﷺ when he was reciting it to Sahaba who knew Arabic, then just yatlu alaykum ayatina would have been sufficient. If it wasn't sufficient for them, how is it sufficient for me and you who are learning it in English or Urdu or some other language? So it's not just enough to read Quran. So people say, oh, I only follow Quran, or I'm Quran only Muslim, or all I want to do is hear Quran. Yes, first and foremost is Quran. But secondly, وَيُزَكِّيكُمْ. And also understand, in the same way that Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam absolutely, perfectly, completely fulfilled the recitation of the scriptural revelation Quran, and secondly, that has remained intact in this ummah, so that Islam is the last deen. Just like that, Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam completely, perfectly did tazkiyah of the Sahaba, taught the teachings of tazkiyah, and they will remain. So we need to be purified. We need to purify ourselves so we can be worthy of the Quran that we recite, worthy to understand it, worthy to practice it. And then وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ الْكِتَابِ. So just the translation isn't enough. Even the Arab Sahaba who heard it from the Prophet ﷺ, they need ta'limul kitab. They need it to be taught, they need to be explained. There is knowledge, there's tafsir. And just the tafsir of Quran is enough. Well, hikmata. There's going to be additional knowledge that is required for the function of nubuwwah to be finished. And deen comes from nubuwwah. So that means the deen consists of additional knowledge. So this is an ayah that explains to us about deen. And the last part, the way I will explain this, and all of this is stuff that would never have come to you out of your common sense and rationality and intellect, because the source of knowledge transcends our mind. The source of knowledge is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is knowledge that we could have never known, we never did know, nor we could have ever learned. The next verse is verse 152. This is a beautiful verse about dhikr and shukr. فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرُكُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Quran that remember me. And these verses I'm doing together actually. These are coming in sequence, so they all relate to one another. Allah ta'ala is saying, make dhikr of me. Remember me. It says addressed to all believers. All believers, each and every one of you should remember me. Allah ta'ala is saying, أَذْكُرْكُمْ. Allah ta'ala is saying, I, Allah, will remember you. Allahu Akbar Kabira. Look at this mercy of Allah ta'ala. We're not even worthy to remember Allah ta'ala. But look at this, that Allah ta'ala is saying He will remember us. And the ulama and mashayikh alhamdulillah beautifully, spent pages and pages and hours opening up the beauties of just these two words. One I will share with you is that Allah ta'ala is saying that remember me when you remember, and I will remember you when you forget. Alright? وَاشْكُرُوا لِي وَلَا تَكْفُرُونَ. And be grateful to me and do not deny my blessings upon you. So here takfurun doesn't mean disbelieve. Be grateful to me and do not deny the blessings that I have sent upon you. But it can also mean be grateful for iman and don't deny the blessing of iman by choosing to disbelieve. So dhikr and shukr, dhikr and shukr. And this is why Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in many of his du'as were in response to verses of Quran. So Allah Ta'ala said, Quran, فَذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ وَاشْكُرُوا لِي وَلَا تَكْفُرُونَ. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam made dua, Allahumma a'inni ala dhikrika wa shukrik. So Allah Ta'ala, establish me upon your dhikr, your remembrance, and shukr, on being grateful to you. The next verses after that, 153. Sabr and salah. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ista'inu bis sabri was salah. That, O you who believe, you must seek Allah Ta'ala's help through sabr, patience, fortitude, perseverance, steadfastness, remaining and continuing to do whatever good deeds He has given, and staying away from any further sins that you may commit. Sabr, being steadfast in your iman and yaqeen and belief and tawakkul and trust upon Allah Ta'ala even in hard times. Sabr, to make do with less when there was a time in your life when you had more. Was salah, it means first salah, the fard salah, means an extra salah, and thirdly it means salah just in terms of dua in worship. Inna Allah ma'as sabirin, and indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself. So it's not that Allah Ta'ala's help will come, you will get Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala Himself is with the sabirin, and yes, when He Himself is with the people who truly adopt sabr, it means His help and His mercy will come upon them. Verse 154, this is about martyrs. وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَنْ يُقْتَلُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتٍ. That do not declare about those who have been slain and killed in the path of Allah Ta'ala that they are dead. Bal ahya'un, but rather they're alive. Bal ahya'un walakin la tash'urun, but you have no idea, you're completely unaware. So why is Allah Ta'ala saying this specifically? This is about the real martyr. Now you will find in hadith that Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that there are certain other ways of dying that Allah Ta'ala will assign such a person the rank of being a martyr on the Day of Judgment, such that if a person dies of a sudden illness like coronavirus. But that's not an actual martyr. An actual martyr is somebody who voluntarily gave their life for the sake of defending and establishing the deen for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So why is Allah Ta'ala saying then, but ahya, don't say that they're dead, because they gave their life. They're dead, they're no longer in this world. Their hayat dunya has ended, right? But there's a real life, which is the hayat of the akhirah, and they traded this life for that life, and therefore they're alive. Bal ahya'un, that they are absolutely alive. وَلَكِنْ لَا تَشْعُرُونَ, but you're not aware. What does it mean? The ruh are alive, and immediately Allah Ta'ala declares His pleasure with that ruh, and immediately Allah Ta'ala grants that ruh an existence in alam and barzakh, in the intermediary realm between this life and the next. Allah Ta'ala grants an existence to that ruh of peace and serenity and tranquility and happiness. The next verse, 155, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that there will be tests in this world. There will be tests. So yes, we may not be tested with this, that we will be slain in the path of Allah Ta'ala in martyrdom, but the next thing says that yes, don't think it just if you escape that, you will be tested free. There are other kinds of tests. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ, that Allah Ta'ala says, surely, definitely, Allah saying, I, Allah, will in my might and majesty in all of my attributes, I will test and try you. Bishay'im, with something, with some amount of what? Min al-khawfi, number one, of fear. Wal-ju'i, of hunger. Wa-naqsim min al-amwal, and you may have some financial loss, reduction of wealth. Wal-anfus, you may lose people, lose members of your family. Wathamarat, you may use, literally means fruits, but it should mean you may lose some of your material possessions. But then Allah says, وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ, and give glad tidings, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to those who are sabirin, who are steadfast, who remain firm. And the next verse will explain a little bit about this. So these are the main categories of tests and trials. We will have fear, uncertainty, anxiety. So all of us are going through this khawf in this, test that the world is facing. Ju', it can mean literally hunger, it can mean want, it can mean lack of things that you need. Naqs min al-amwal can be financial loss, so the rest have been explained. And the next verse, Allah Ta'ala explains, who are these sabirin? الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ, that those whenever, every time a musibah, an affliction afflicts them, they immediately turn to Allah Ta'ala, call out to Allah Ta'ala, and they say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So first their tongues say that truly we belong to Allah Ta'ala, and ultimately we to Allah Ta'ala is the return. To Him alone is the return. Alright? Second, they say it with their hearts. They understand it with their heart. They mean it with their heart. That they know that this world is going to end. And we had an existence before this, when Allah Ta'ala created a ruh, and He was our caretaker, and that's coming later, we'll do it in Quran. He was our caretaker, our nursery. We had a pre-earthly worldly existence. We have a post-worldly existence. And our pre-earthly existence, it was all about Allah Ta'ala. And our post-worldly existence, it is all about Allah Ta'ala. So this is just in the middle, a moment. So that, what is this? In simple English, we are putting that musibah in perspective. We are zooming out. And it's human nature to zoom in when we get emotional, right? And we're, instead of worry or test, we zoom in, and that's all we see is the difficulty. So here a person is zooming out almost infinitely, because they're thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and their origin and their return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Allahu Akbar Kabira, Allah Ta'ala says an incredible thing. And often people stop at this verse. They just do 155 to 156. So So I'm making sure, and I'm trying my best, inshallah. No one is perfect, but I'm trying that when I do make these selections, I don't leave any selection incomplete. So 157 is the closer, is the ultimate gift. Ulaika alayhim salawatum min rabbihim. That these people, these sabirin, whom when Allah Ta'ala definitely tests us, and when they are tested they have sabr, and they say inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun with their tongue, and they experience the feeling with their heart, these are the people who from their Rabb will come salawat. Allah Ta'ala will send blessings and salutations on them. Me and you have been commanded by Allah Ta'ala, inna Allah wa malaikatu yusalluna ala nabiyyi alladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima, that we should send salawat on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Here Allah Ta'ala is saying that Allah Ta'ala will send salawat himself on those people who are in tough times and khawf and ju, etc. When they had sabr. So this is an amazing reward of sabr. Earlier you get Allah Ta'ala inna Allah ma sabrin. Here what do we see? You get salawat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are incredible. This itself is sufficient motivation to have sabr, and we should apply this on these times that do require a lot of sabr for us. And many people have much more difficulty than you and I have in the current circumstances. وَرَحْمَةً. So they get salawat and they get rahmah and mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُهْتَدُونَ, and these indeed are the ones who will be guided by the guidance. First they're choosing to be guided by saying inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun, and through the sabr they will get more guidance, more tawfiq to be guided in the guidance. On verse 158, and the verse is talking about Safa and Marwa, but I just wanted to pluck out the end of that verse because this is one of the paired attributes of Allah Ta'ala that comes in Quran. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ شَاكِرٌ أَلِيمٌ. That indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala, it literally means Allah Ta'ala is shakir of the amal that we do. So when we do Hajj and do Umrah, the verses about Hajj and Umrah, and this is also a special, maybe I should explain that Hajj and Umrah are extremely beloved acts to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah Ta'ala open up Haramain Sharifain soon and never let them close again. Ameen. But Allah Ta'ala loves it so much that Allah Ta'ala said after Hajj and Umrah, then a person who does more tawaf, that's what it was come before this, Allah Ta'ala mentioned two attributes, shakirun. So what does it mean? It's not that he's grateful, it means he appreciates. Allah Ta'ala is immensely appreciative of the acts of worship you do, despite maybe your laziness or difficulty in doing so. Alimun, and he knows everything about your intention and action of worship. And the Rabb that's beautiful here is, if you think about it rationally, it won't make sense. That okay, if I just said shakir, okay, Allah Ta'ala might be appreciative, but then I think, no, how Allah Ta'ala knows what weak a person I am and how weak my intention was and how distracted I was in that worship. So because if I could have pulled it off in a way that Allah Ta'ala didn't know, and he just saw outwardly that I'm doing Umrah, I could have hoped maybe Allah Ta'ala would have been appreciative of me doing Umrah. But because Allah Ta'ala is Alim, he knows what's in my heart, he knows how distracted I was, how is my Umrah going to be accepted? But this is the beauty. Allah Ta'ala is Shakirun Alim. He knows, but he still appreciates. He knows all your flaws and all your faults and all your weaknesses, but he's shakir, he appreciates every little thing you do anyway. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanallah azim. For such a beautiful Allah Ta'ala, what else could we do but offer our iman and our hearts to him? Verses 163 to 165, and I will take them separately, they're all about Tawheed. And it's very important that we talk about Tawheed. And just because there may be some fringe or radical group that only talked about Tawheed, doesn't mean that Tawheed is something that you should not talk about. Tawheed, the oneness of Allah Ta'ala, and what does that mean? What are the signs of that oneness? What are the wonders of that oneness? How do we respond to that oneness? Is a core, critical, essential teaching of Quran Kareem and the Deen of Islam. So one of the best formulations of this in Quran is here in Surah Baqarah, Surah 2, verse 163. وَإِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهُ وَاحِدٌ. And your ilah, your God, is one God. La ilaha illahu. There is no God except for him. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. He is the all-merciful, the mercy-giving. That we explained in Fatiha. وَإِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهُ وَاحِدٌ. La ilaha illahu ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. For those who are fond of doing dhikr and make repetitive dhikr of La ilaha illallah, but they want to know how can I better focus and concentrate on that dhikr, take some ayah in Quran like this, and first recite this ayah a few times with meaning, with pondering on the magnificence of Tawheed, and then begin your dhikr of La ilaha illallah. Right? Then in the next verse 164, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions a series of, if you will, signs of the oneness of Allah ta'ala, that there's only one Allah ta'ala, and the underlying aspect here is if there was more than one God, then the universe would not function so smoothly. There would be competition. One God would want the sun to rise from the east, one would want it to rise from the west, etc. So in the consistent, orderly, mannered way in which the universe functions, all of that, the unity, if you will, of the functioning of the universe points to the unicity and the oneness of the creator of that universe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's what this verse 163 is. 164 is. So I'll just translate this for you quickly. Indeed, in the creation of the samawat and the ard, samawat is every realm that is above and beyond planet Earth. So the firmaments, the skies, the galaxies, the universe, then the heavenly realms in which the angels dwell, the kursi, the arsh, Sidratul Muntaha, all of that is samawat. Well, ard is this earth itself. Earth itself is itself a wonder of creation. All separate science called geology. وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ, and in the alternating variation of the night and day. وَالْفُلْكِ الَّتِي تَجْرِي فِي الْبَحْرِ, and even the way the ships run and navigate and float upon the seas, the ocean. بِمَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ, and they do that by means of that which benefits humanity. It's a means, so you can take this as a general translation. And any and every invention that God guided humanity to invent for the sake of their own benefit, the functioning of that invention, all of science and engineering, all of that functioning properly, the laws of science that Allah Ta'ala made so that engineering could take place, all of that humanity is then guided to use for their own benefit, all of that is also a sign of Tawheed, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مِن مَاءٍ, and then in the rain, there's the water that is sent down by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from above. فَأَحْيَا بِهِ الْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا, Allah Ta'ala revives the earth after it become barren and infertile. وَبَثَّ فِيهَا مِن كُلِّ دَابَّةٍ, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala scatters throughout that land every form and manner of dabba, beast and animal and creature. وَالتَّصْرِيفِ الرِّيَاحِ, and the shifting currents and flowing of the winds. Right? These are things that today people can understand even better scientifically. Right? That 1400 people could not even understand the depth of this. وَالتَّصْرِيفِ الرِّيَاحِ, what a fascinating manner in which the currents and wind flows exist on this earth. وَالسَّحَابِ الْمُسَخَّرِ بَيْنَ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ, and then the clouds that are suspended, right, are floating, subdued, suspended, musakhar, between that which lies above, between the atmosphere and that which transcends the atmosphere and earth, right? And that was a beautiful thing. Even today people, right, love to look at the clouds and the movement of the clouds in the sky. All of this, la'ayatin are signs of the oneness and majesty of Allah Ta'ala, لِقَوْمٍ يَعْقِلُونَ, to any such group of people who have sense, who understand. So this is also the Quranic definition of aql. Aql isn't just what my mind thinks and fancies. Aql is my ability to arrive at the oneness, existence and oneness of Allah Ta'ala through reflection on the creation of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And finally, the third verse in this series on Tawheed is 165. Now this is the emotional part, the spiritual part, the worshipping part. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ, and from humanity, مَن يَتَّخِذُ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ أَنْدَادًا, there are some who take up equals, rivals, partners to Allah Ta'ala, min duni, aside from Him. They take andada, so it's a bit different from the word shirk, different from partners. They take rivals, equals, in what? In their heart. يُحِبُّونَهُمْ كَحُبِّ اللَّهِ. They love them, those andad, those equals, they love them the way Allah Ta'ala is supposed to be loved. They love them the way they should have loved Allah Ta'ala. Loving them like they should have loved Allah. Allahu Akbar Kabira. So this is also a very emotional thing. It's showing that the believer has an emotional relationship with Allah Ta'ala. That they're supposed to be fond of Allah Ta'ala, love Allah Ta'ala, yearn for Allah Ta'ala, long for Allah Ta'ala, miss feeling close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But unfortunately, instead of having these feelings for Allah Ta'ala, in our heart we have set up other andad, other co-equals, right? False equals. And we have all those feelings for those andad instead of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, those who believe, and again, many times this verse is, only part of this verse is mentioned, so I want you to see it in this whole verse. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. However, those who have iman, their hearts, right, are extremely intense in the love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their hearts are more passionate in the love for Allah. Ashaddu, more passionate, more ardent, more loving, more enamored of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than anything else. So there are no rivals in their heart. وَلَوْ يَرَى الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا. And if only those who do zulm, who do wrong and oppression, they could see. If only they could see. إِذْ يَرَوْنَ الْعَذَابَ أَنَّ الْقُوَّةَ لِلَّهِ جَمِيعًا. But when they see the punishment, then what will they realize? أَنَّ الْقُوَّةَ لِلَّهِ جَمِيعًا. All power lies to Allah Ta'ala alone entirely. وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ شَدِيدُ الْعِقَابِ. And indeed Allah Ta'ala can be severe in punishment. So this is a often thing in Quran, that when all this mention of oneness and signs and love and loving and belovedness, there's a reminder also that to fail in this can result in punishment. Verse 167, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about bad influences. This is what I'm simply calling it. وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ اتَّبَعُوا. And those who followed, right? So there's a sense that there's going to be followers and those who were followed. And the bad, so people followed bad people. They had bad influences in their life, right? Now what happens on the Day of Judgment, they will try to blame, they will try to get themselves off the hook and excuse themselves by blaming those who they followed. The followers will try to blame those who they followed. وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ اتَّبَعُوا. The followers, right? And the followers will say, لَوْ أَنَّ لَنَا كَرَّةً فَنَتَبَرَّأَ مِنْهُمْ. That if we were given another lot at this world, another turn, another chance, another turn, فَنَتَبَرَّأَ مِنْهُمْ. We would disavow them. We would disavow those people who we followed, those bad influences, completely. كَمَا تَبَرَّأُوا مِنَّا. In the same way that on the Day of Judgment, they're disavowing us. What does it mean? On the Day of Judgment, they will think that Allah is going to punish me for leading this person astray. So they'll say, no, I didn't lead them astray, they did it on their own. So the person will be shocked, the follower will be shocked that I did it because of you. Of course you were the one who led me astray. But on the Day of Judgment, the person says, no, I didn't do it, they did it on their own. So then the person will realize, the follower, the one who is following, will realize on the Day of Judgment that this person wasn't true, this person betrayed me, this wasn't a friend, what did I do, why did I follow them? And the same way that they're disowning me and disavowing me today, if only I could go back into the world and disavow them. So obviously Allah is telling us this so we understand this before this happens to us on the Day of Judgment, and we leave and disassociate from all bad influences, and we own the reality that we alone are responsible for our own choices and decisions. كَذَلِكَ يُرِيهِمُ اللَّهُ أَعْمَالُهُم. And thus Allah Ta'ala will show them their deeds and actions hasaratin, in a way that they will have regret and remorse alayhim, upon those actions. وَمَا هُمْ بِخَارِجِينَ مِنَ النَّارِ. But that regret will not be sufficient, and therefore they will never ever leave the punishment. Right. Verse 168, Allah Ta'ala is, in the end, there's going to be hukm in the beginning, I'll translate the verse, but in the end Allah is going to mention one of the forms of the enmity of Shaytan, so I chose to give it this title. Ya ayyuhan nas, Allah is addressing all of humanity, not just to believers. Kulu mimma fil ardi halalan tayyiba. That all of humanity, eat green, alright? Eat that from this earth which is first halal, but Allah Ta'ala is permitted. So it means that even non-Muslims should not eat haram things. It means that in this case, Allah is giving an ishara, a sign to us that there are physical benefits in staying away from things that are haram. So actually, in this case, we are not always going to try to invite non-Muslims to Islamic law. But if we have love for our non-Muslim friends, we would want them, look, don't do drugs, don't smoke, don't drink. These things now, they're not going to do that for the reason that Allah has made it haram, because they don't believe in Allah Ta'ala. So we have to explain to them that this is not going to be beneficial for you. This is harmful for you. This is going to hurt you. And if you do these things, you may end up hurting others. And the second word here is tayyib. So tayyib, one meaning of tayyib, just to put it in English, halal is permissible, tayyib means pure. So first meaning is that which is acquired through lawful wealth. So I may be eating something that is halal, but what if the money I used to purchase that was acquired through deceitful means or through some interest-bearing investment? A second meaning of tayyib means it's more pure and wholesome. That's why I was calling organic and green. So it doesn't harm the environment, doesn't harm earth. Alright? I'm eating in a manner that my form of consumption does not harm the environment, does not harm earth. And then Allah Ta'ala says, وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ, and do not ever follow. And again, this is being addressed to all of humanity. All of humanity. Because Shaitan's not just trying to lead believers astray. Shaitan's enmity isn't just with alladhina amanu, it's with all Bani Adam. His enmity with us is just because we're insan, not because we have iman. He may have an extra enmity for that, but his core enmity is just because we're insan. So Allah Ta'ala is saying, do not follow the khutuwat, footsteps, the path that He has laid. Don't become like him. إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ, and know that indeed he is a open, manifest, die-hard, dedicated, committed, declared enemy of yours. Allahu Akbar. So the first thing, the rub within this ayah, is if we eat things that are not halal, we are following the footsteps of Shaitan. If we are not pure and wholesome, we are following the footsteps of Shaitan. And obviously the big message is that Shaitan's enmity is open for us. Verse 169, it continues then about what are the influences of Shaitan. What does he try to do? إِنَّمَا يَأْمُرُكُمْ Shaitan, he only commands you to do what? بِسُوءِ, to do evil. وَالْفَحْشَاءِ, to do indecency, shamelessness, betrayal, haya and modesty. And third, وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, and that you should say regarding Allah Ta'ala that which you know nothing whatsoever. So the first thing, all evil is any sin, all disobedience, hurting people, anything and everything that you can call evil. Fasha means to betray the modesty according to the Islamic understanding of haya. And the third thing, right, so these, misguided, although may well be very sincere, but misguided, moderate and modernist and reformist Muslims who say about Allah Ta'ala or say about the Quran al-Kareem what they really don't know, right? And where is that coming from? When you wonder whether they're such sincere and nice people, that's coming from Shaitan is influencing them. Shaitan is influencing them. Alright? So these are three ways that Shaitan influences. I should have put there 3 influences of Shaitan as the header. Now we move a bit forward to verse 174. It's just an interesting, powerful description of something that will happen on the Day of Judgment. Alright? And indeed those who conceal and hide that which Allah Ta'ala has revealed from His scripture revelation, وَيَشْتَرُونَ بِهِ ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا, and they do that. Why do they do that? They did that for a paltry sum, right? They sold the true meaning of revelation for a paltry sum. It doesn't just mean money, it may mean fame. They did it for popularity. They said, okay, let me change the meaning or loosen up or lighten up the meaning. People will be, praising me and say, oh, you're so enlightened and you're so modern. Alright? And originally this verse is referring to the Ahl Kitab who hid their own true scripture. But there's a danger. Why is Allah saying this in Quran? Okay, we can never change the alfaz, the wordings of Kalamullah, because they're preserved by Allah Ta'ala. But what we can do is change the meanings. And a lot of people do that. They misinterpret and then misguide people about the meanings of Quran al-Kareem. So Allah Ta'ala says about all the above, Ulaika ma ya'kuluna fi butunihim illa nar, that they have not consumed anything in their bellies except the fire. So it means that originally they did it for money, to buy food and to have luxurious lifestyle, but it's saying no, you will get nothing except punishment. But the main reason I stuck to this verse is the next sentence. But I wanted to give you the context. وَلَا يُكَلِّمُهُمُ اللَّهُ, and Allah Ta'ala will not even speak to them. He will not deign to address them. Yawm al-Qiyamah, on the Day of Judgment. وَلَا يُزَكِّيهِمْ, and He will not purify them. and therefore they will end up in the fire of Jahannam. وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ, and to them will be what? A painful punishment. But we learn something very important about the Day of Judgment here. Apparently, Allah Ta'ala will speak to people on the Day of Judgment. And if He's not going to speak to those who misinterpreted and misguided His revelation, then we can hope that those who tried their best, the true ulama, I'm just sharing what I've learned, the true ulama of tafsir, the true mufassirun, who dedicated their life to share the true meanings of Kalamullah, one reward they will get on the Day of Judgment is that Allah Ta'ala will do kalam with them. And the second thing we find out is that Allah Ta'ala will do tazkiyah of people on the Day of Judgment. Allah Ta'ala will purify people because we will bring so many impurities to Him. And one way we can hope that Allah Ta'ala does that tazkiyah of us on the Day of Judgment is that we try to learn the true meanings of Quran al-Kareem. So it's a very important ayah in context of what we're trying to do this month, and generally whenever we try to recite and learn and understand Quran al-Kareem. Next verse is verse 177. This is a very central, significant, famous verse of Quran al-Kareem. It is known as Ayatul Bir, based on the second word of Quran. Second word in this verse. I'm sorry, the first letter is missing here. Again, amongst our many imperfections is going to be imperfectly cutting and pasting when we are making these PowerPoints for you. So the lam is missing. It should obviously say Laysal Bir, alright, in the Arabic. And inshallah we'll fix that for future renditions, inshallah. Laysal birra. So here Allah is going to describe bir by saying what it's not, by telling us what it is not. So bir means virtue, means piety, slightly different from taqwa. In fact, taqwa itself is a means to get bir. Bir means wholesome virtue and piety. Alright? So in Urdu they would say neki. Okay? Nek hona, to be pious, to be virtuous. So Allah Ta'ala first is saying what it's not. It is not that you turn. And I think now a bit, just to increase the speed, I may have to, because I put the Arabic up for you, so I may have to skip the recitation of the Arabic, although that is very pleasurable, and maybe just to English sometimes. So it is, what is not bir, piety and virtuousness? It is not to turn your faces to east and west. Okay, this is again related to the changing of the Qibla, and all of you can learn. If you don't know that, again, I refer you to our detailed tafsir series on the Islamic Spirituality website, where we've talked about all these things in detail. It's not to turn your faces toward east and west. What does it mean? It's not an outward turning. It's not an outward turning. وَلَكِنَّ الْبِرَّ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ. However, what is bir? It's about an inner iman. The person who believes in Allah Ta'ala, believes in the last day, believes in all of the angels, believes in the scriptural revelation Quran, believes in Nabiyina, and believes in all of the prophets and messengers that were sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all these acts of iman is bir. Secondly, now we're going to move to actions. Second, وَأَتَى الْمَالَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ, and they give. So action was the first action that's mentioned. Is interesting. Virtue, bir, has a lot to do with your interaction with the creation of Allah Ta'ala. The first action mentioned is not salah, is not worship. The first action of being a virtuous, pious person is that they give money. They give their wealth. Ala hubbihi, even though they love that wealth. Alright, that's the first meaning. Even though they love that wealth. And they give it to the wil qurba, they give it to their near relatives, wal yatama, and to orphans, wal masakina, and the very poor, destitute, indigent, wabna sabil, and they give that to the traveler, wasa'ilin, and those who ask, who are literally begging, wafir riqabi, and they give it to free slaves. And then now the third category of what is bir. So Allah Ta'ala first put iman, second put our relationship with other human beings, and third now will come with worship. وَأَقَامَ الصَّلَاةَ, and they regularly establish the prayer. وَآتَ الزَّكَاةَ, and they pay the mandatory charity. وَالْمُوفُونَ بِأَهْدِهِمْ, and they are loyal and true and fulfill all the oaths and pledges and commitments that they enter. Alright, can be contracts as well. إِذَا أَهْدُوا, whensoever and every time they enter in such a pledge or contract. And now the fourth attribute, fourth list, right, is now some attributes. وَالصَّابِرِينَ فِي الْبَأْسَاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ, and we've mentioned this as well. Sabr already, that those who are steadfast, like patient, in ba'sa'i, in misfortunes, dharra'i, in hardship, wahin al-ba'si, in moments of peril. Ulaika alladhina sadaku. So these people are they're the ones who are sadaku. They're true, they're sincere. Ulaika humul muttaqun, and indeed these are the ones who then are the muttaqeen, the ones who are reverent and conscious and fearful and in awe of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So a lot going on in this verse. Alhamdulillah, again, ulama have written many pages and much commentary on this verse, and it's one of the wonderful things you could follow up on. 179 is a verse about qisas, but I wanted to show that it's the wisdom of Islamic law. Allah Ta'ala says in Quran, وَلَكُمْ فِي الْقِصَاصِ. So qisas is capital punishment if it's murder. It's also like acts of punishment in kind without any transgression and increase. And sometimes in the modern day people find this to be brutal. So Allah Ta'ala is saying in hayatun, that in that there is the resurrection and maintenance of life. There's life itself in the laws of qisas, if you will, the legal laws of retribution. There's life in that. Ya ulul albab, O people of lub, O people of sense, I would say more so, O people of wisdom and discernment, people who can understand from their heart and ruh and qalb and ruh in addition to their aql. That's called a lub. La'allakum tattakun, hopefully, happily, maybe, so that you may become people of taqwa. So this is generally an ishara to the wisdom of Islamic law, the wisdom of Sharia. So it's our iman that everything. Now the people of aql may not be able to understand this. So therefore rationalists may sometimes try to reform Islamic law. But the people of lub, the people of wisdom and discernment, the people of hearts and souls, and they aspire to taqwa, they will understand that there is life itself and vitality in every hukm of the Sharia. Verses 183 to 185 most relevant are about fasting in the month of Ramadan. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyamu kama kutiba alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. Oh, you believe, fasting has been made mandatory upon you. So this is interesting. It's like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, this is done. I'm not even doing it, it's done already. Obviously Allah did it. It's already made. It's understood. It's guaranteed. It's default. It's essential. It's primordial. It's done. Fasting has already been written upon you, prescribed upon you, proscribed upon you. Why? In the same manner that it was done in every single religious, spiritual community before you. Why? Because Allah Ta'ala designed humanity for deen, to know Him. And the act of physically fasting, abstaining from food and drink, and if one is married, lawful relations, from Fajr to Maghrib, is a way, tattakun, la'allakum tattakun, is a way that possibly you may get taqwa. Hopefully that you may get taqwa. In order that you may get taqwa. But ayyam ma'dudat, it will be for a particular enumerated numbered days. Alright? Okay. The rest of this, Allah Ta'ala says that if any of you happen to be ill or sick, or you are traveling on a journey, then it can be a فَإِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَامٍ أُخَرٍ, then you can do it on another number of days, right? A number of other days, outside of the month of Ramadan. And for those who are unable to bear it, okay, then they can pay فِدْيَةٌ تَعَامُ مِسْكِينَ, that they can pay the fidya. Fidya is the expiation payment in lieu or in place of fasting. And you will pay that for feeding a miskin, which is again a poor, destitute person. And whoever does more than that, whoever fasts despite these illness or traveling or inability. Now obviously this is within reason. It doesn't mean you push yourself. If you're unable, you can't. If you're severely ill, even moderately ill, you have rukhsa, you have license dispensation not to fast. Alright? But if somebody says, I felt a headache and there's just 1 hour left, if you think you could last and sound medical advice says that you're not in any danger or harm, then it's better to continue. Alright? And that is, so that's what's being referred to as is what is better. Tatawwa can also be referring to extra optional fasting outside the month of Ramadan. That's an ishara, but here these verses are essentially about the month of Ramadan. فَمَنْ تَتَوَّأَ خَيْرًا فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَهُ وَأَنْ تَصُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. So you see in the Arabic the word khair is coming 3 times. Okay? So whosoever does khair, it is khair for them, and to fast is khair for you, if indeed you knew. Okay? Alright. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. And we'll speak about this more tonight in the general English talk. But the month of Ramadan is the month in which Quran al-Kareem was revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So number 1, that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala... So some say that the month of Ramadan was when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran in its entirety on the Lawh al-Mahfuz. This could be the case. And in that sense it would mean... it is the case, but not in... How can I explain? One is the lunar month of Ramadan. That only takes place when the earth and the moon have been created. So this gives us an ishara that there's an existential reality to Ramadan. Even before Allah Ta'ala placed it in space-time, alright, the space-time existence of Ramadan is a lunar month based on the sighting of the moon, which requires the existence of the sun, earth, moon, solar system, and all the laws of physics and gravity that Allah Ta'ala created to govern that. Okay, that's the space-time reality of Ramadan, but there's an existential reality of Ramadan that transcends that. And in that transcendent reality of Ramadan, right, Allah Ta'ala revealed Quran al-Kareem on Lawh al-Mahfuz. And the second meaning is in the space-time reality of Ramadan, the lunar month of Ramadan, Allah Ta'ala sent the first revelation on the heart of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the cave in Mount Hira. Alright. And this Quran is Hudan lin-nas. Quran al-Kareem is a source of guidance for all of humanity. وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِّنَ الْهُدَى. And it is a clear proofs of that guidance. وَالْفُرْقَانِ. And it is a distinct criterion and decisive criteria between all truth and truth and falsehood, real and unreal. فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ. So therefore, whomsoever amongst you witnesses is alive in this month of Ramadan, فَلْيَصُمْهُ. Therefore, they should certainly fast that month. Alright, and then again, some, teachings about being ill. Whosoever is ill or on traveling or on journey, then they can do it on other days. And then an interesting thing, what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ. يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ. Allah Ta'ala wishes ease for you. وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْأُسْرَ. And Allah Ta'ala does not wish and intend any difficulty for you. So this is general teaching. But this is the perfect way to understand. True understanding of Islam means that you follow Deen wholeheartedly, full-fledged, and understand that following Deen is not a hardship that Allah has placed, but rather by following Deen I will attain and earn an ease. And false understanding is that ease must be Deen, so something appears difficult, you shouldn't follow that or take that out of Deen because Allah Ta'ala said that He only wants ease for you. That's false understanding. So very simply to explain, ad-deenu yusrun. Deen will bring you to ease, not al-yusru deen, that anything that is easy, we're going to call that deen. Alright? I hope this part is clear. Then Allah Ta'ala says, وَلَتُكْمِلُوا الْإِدَّةَ. Then you will complete the numbers, so that you complete is also important. So for any reason, if you miss a fast this month, or you missed a fast any of the previous months of Ramadan, you must complete that. You must do qada of that. Right? This also saying that no, Allah Ta'ala is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, He will forgive me. Allah Ta'ala is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, and He will forgive you for sins that you did if you truly repent and ask His forgiveness. And Allah Ta'ala is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, He will forgive you for things that you failed to do if and when you make up for failing to do them. So Allah Ta'ala is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, He will forgive me for missing the fast. The sentence is incomplete. He is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, He will forgive you for missing the fast when you make it up, if you were so able. وَلِتُكْمِلُ الْإِنْدَةَ. And then وَلَتُكَبِّرُ اللَّهِ. Very important teaching of Ramadan is takbir. Allahu Akbar. To magnify the greatness of Allah Ta'ala. Something I think we don't do enough in Ramadan. Just Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. That's, people normally don't do that dhikr, because to just repeat that has not really been mentioned to my knowledge in hadith. But the point is, لِتُكَبِّرُ اللَّهِ. So every now and then say Allahu Akbar. Sprinkle your conversation with Allahu Akbar kabira. وَلِتُكْبِرُ اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ. Why? You're magnifying, glorifying, mentioning, attesting, declaring, professing the kibriya of Allah Ta'ala based on what He guided you to. For having guided you. وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. And that ultimately so that you may become appreciative and grateful and thankful to the bounties and blessings. So a lot of teachings for Ramadan here. Alright, shukr. Ramadan is about shukr. Ramadan is about takbir. Ramadan is that it brings us into ease. It's not a difficulty for us. Alright? And Ramadan is the month of Quran al-Kareem. Next, 186, immediately afterwards. So the link between this is that Ramadan is also the month of dua, and the month in which du'as are accepted. But the verse 186 is generally about dua anytime. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ إِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. That if they ask you, Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who, if my ibad, if my slaves, my servants, my creatures ask you, Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, anni, concerning me, regarding me, about me, فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. This is the answer to their question. That indeed, Allah Ta'ala is saying, I indeed, truly, I Allah am qareeb. I'm intimately near. Ujibu da'wat da'i. Allah Ta'ala is saying, I Allah answer the call of the caller, the supplicant, the supplication of the supplicant. إِذَا دَعَانِي. When they make dua to me. فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي. And therefore let them also respond to me. Let them follow the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي. And therefore they should let them believe in me. لَأَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. Not because Allah Ta'ala is saying, not because Allah Ta'ala need it. لَأَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. So that they may be rightly guided. So they may be on rushd. Right? So hidayah is guidance. Rushd is to be right, to be set aright, to be on the path that is correct. Allahu Akbar. So we should make dua to Allah Ta'ala. Allah answers our dua, and we should try. So if you want to know how can I get my duas more accepted, answer Allah Ta'ala's commandments more, have stronger iman, and then our duas will be even more accepted. But the beautiful teaching is, of course, فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. Especially, all of it is beautiful, but فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ, that Allah Ta'ala is intimately near. Next, 187. So if you see the 3 dots before, the 3 dots after, this is in the middle of this verse. Alright? So there's things going on before, things going on afterwards. And I plucked this out because it's one of the beautiful expressions by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran al-Kareem about the relationship between spouses, between wife and husband, between husband and wife. Hunna libasun lakum. They, yani wives, are a garment for you, husbands. Wa antum, and you, husbands, libasun, are a garment, lahunna, for them, wives. Wives are garments for husbands. Husbands are garments for wives. They are garments for you, and you are garments for them. Right? So this is a beautiful teaching of Quran al-Kareem, libas. Right? And the ulama have said that in this few words, this succinct sentence, Allah Ta'ala has beautifully explained Allah Ta'ala's understanding of marriage. And if and when we align our understanding and practice of marriage with Allah Ta'ala's understanding of marriage, that's a successful, happy, blissful marriage. And to whatever extent we deviate from that and we divert from that, that is unhappy al-aman al-hafiz marriage. May Allah Ta'ala protect us. May Allah Ta'ala give us. And it's interesting. This is also, so the rest of the verse 187 is about spouses, right? And when you can return to that activity. So it's clear also that in Ramadan, because there's nisbat connection, rabt between this and the previous verses that are about Ramadan. Ramadan is the month of making your marriage better. Not just the month of fasting. Ramadan is the month of being a thicker garment for one another, a more plush, soft, snugging garment for one another. So why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala use this word? The ulama mentioned many things. Just very quickly, the garment is they protect one another, they warm one another, they shroud one another, they conceal one another, they are safe together, safe under one another. There's so many aspects to this, and it's a beautiful expression. All right, and again, all these ayat, one can follow up. All of you, inshallah, can follow up and learn more and more about them in tafsir. Next, 188 about financial honesty, right? وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالُكُمْ بَيْنَكُمْ, and literally means do not devour your poverty amongst yourselves bil-batili, falsely. Basically, do not commit financial dishonesty, but rather you should be financially honest. All right? وَتُدْلُ بِهَا إِلَى الْحُكَّامِ, and then you present it, you proffer it, you do dalalat to judges. لَتَأْكُلُوا فَرِيقًا مِنَ أَمْوَالِ النَّاسِ, so that you try to false litigation, right? So that you can knowingly devour parts of people's property. Bil-ithmi, with sin, sinfully. وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ, and all the while you know. Allahu Akbar. So this is against financial dishonesty and false litigation. وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ, and all the while you know that you truly have no claim and you are false. Allahu Akbar. 190. Okay, now from 190 onwards, there are going to be some interesting verses. And I do not shy away from anything in Quran al-Kareem. And it's very important to correctly explain things that people have misunderstood. And one should also not shy away from the correct explanations if there may be other cultures or ideologies in the world that are not comfortable with the correct understanding of Quran al-Kareem. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying here, what is He saying though? Now look at this carefully. وَقَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ الَّذِينَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ, and slay, literally means slay, right? Qatil, muqatala means slay and fight. So qatl means to kill, and qital means to fight to the extent that you're willing to kill. So that's called, maybe that's the way I just translate that. Fight to the extent that if you need to, you will kill in the path of Allah those who first are fighting you and are willing to kill you. وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا, and do not transgress beyond this. Do not have any further reason, further manner in which you fight with and are willing to go to the extent of killing. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُعْتَدِينَ, because Allah Ta'ala will never love and does not love those who transgress. So it means those believers who are fighting to the extent that they're willing to kill in the path of Allah, those people who first were fighting them and were willing to kill them, if the believers transgress beyond that and fight them for nation or for land or for territory or for power or for money or for political rule or for revenge or for clan or for tribe or for anything else, right? Then Allah Ta'ala is saying about them, the believers who do that, Inna Allah la yuhibbul mu'tadeen, Allah Ta'ala does not love those who transgress. Alright? Okay. 191, I'm taking something in the middle, because if I was to explain all these verses, it would be, it would take hours to explain them properly. Alright? So all the explanation I really needed to give it to you, I gave it to you in 190. Alright? Another thing Allah Ta'ala mentions, but still sometimes people say, because all of us are pacifists, all of us love peace, right? So, well, why? Even in that case, if somebody is fighting me first and they're willing to kill me, I don't know, should I fight them back and be willing to kill them? Right? Isn't it bad? Let's say I'm a better fighter and I do, isn't that still bad? Right? Let's say there's a question. So in the middle of verse 191, the dots are reflecting in the middle, Allah does explain, Wal fitnatu ashaddu min al qatl. If that person who is first fighting you to the extent that they're willing to kill you, if they don't desist, if you cannot negotiate a peace treaty with them, if they do not desist, if they persist, then this will cause something called fitna. Right? It will cause something like fitna. And this fitna is strife, it's discourse, it's sedition, it's worse than slaughter. It means that there is some evil, right, that those people have in them and that they're spreading through their fighting you and being willing to kill you. And that letting that evil exist is worse than the act of your fighting back. Alright? Okay. Verse 192 to 193. Cessation of hostilities. This is the term I've given it. فَإِنْ انْتَهَوْا, if they desist, if they stop, right, then you cannot fight them. You can't say, no, they started it. You can't finish it. If they finish it, فَإِنْ انْتَهَوْا, if they stop, then the sole justification for you fighting them is finished. And then look what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. Look what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. Ajib. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Allah ta'ala is all forgiving, all merciful. If they realize and stop, maybe, and obviously you have to stop, maybe Allah ta'ala will even guide them to Islam, and then He will, when they accept Islam, He will forgive them and be merciful towards them. As was the case with Khalid ibn Walid, as is the radiallahu ta'ala anhu, right? As is the case with so many others as well, historically. As in the case with the Mongols. The Mongols invaded and slaughtered hundreds of thousands or millions, I don't know the exact figure. And then, historically, over time, they themselves became Muslims. And then became Muslim rulers of the same lands that they conquered and took away from Islam. Allahu Akbar Kabira. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Ajib. So I gave you two examples of this in history. One from the time of Sahaba Kiram radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajmain, and one from a very famous and important area, a period of Islamic history, which is the Mongol conquest and the Mongol invasion. وَقَاتِلُوهُمْ حَتَّى لَا تَكُونَ فِتْنَةً. Alright? And if they don't stop, this is what it's understood. First, if they stop, done. If they don't stop, don't slay them until you kill them all. No. Slay them so that the fitna is gone. Because the only thing that was worse, now go back, was fitna was worse than qatl. So you only can fight them to the extent that you remove the fitna. If you remove the fitna, then you have to stop the hostilities. You can't fight them anymore. وَقَاتِلُوهُمْ حَتَّى لَا تَكُونَ فِتْنَةٌ. So you continue to fight back against them, even if you have to kill them, until they are no longer a fitna. This, there's a professor called John Kelsey. He's written a book called Just War in Islam, and he has mentioned that just war, that a war that is just and fair and justified, that is found in Islam and in other religions and found in the West, right? Such as if you were to fight a war against the Burmese army who is doing genocide on the Rohingyas, were you to fight a war against Hitler who is doing genocide on the Jews. But yes, if they stopped, then you stop fighting them. Or if they stopped their fitna, you would stop fighting them. Okay? So this is it. That's all Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in the Quran al-Kareem. That's it. And you will see this in Fatih Makkah, that there was almost no hostilities. Alright. وَيَكُونُ الدِّينُ لِلَّهِ, and that the deen should be only and only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is another type of fitna, right? This is another type of fitna. Any deen that is not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَإِنْ تَهَوْا فَلَا أُدْوَانَ إِلَّا عَلَى الظَّالِمِينَ. And if they stop, there is no enmity towards them. There is no hostility towards them. Illa, except for عَلَى الظَّالِمِينَ, those who continue to oppress. So it's very clear, it's all about fitna and zulm. Fitna and zulm. It doesn't say anywhere here anything else. Alright? Okay. 194. Allah is also making it clear that you must fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first part of this verse is about the particular legal rulings about fighting in the sacred months, right? And Allah is saying that these are sacred, inviolable months in which fighting was not supposed to take place. But people who violate that, okay? Then when the month ends, فَمِنْ اعْتَدَى عَلَيْكُمْ فَاعْتَدُوا عَلَيْهِ بِمِثْلٍ. If they transgressed and violated the sacred month, and when it's done, you can fight them back only to the extent that they transgressed against you. بِمِثْلِ مَا اعْتَدَى عَلَيْكُمْ. Only to the extent that they transgressed against you. That's it. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ. And all the time fear Allah Ta'ala, revere Allah Ta'ala, be aware of Allah Ta'ala. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. And know that Allah Ta'ala is with the people of taqwa. Now I would take this even beyond any type of armed battle or warfare. Any type, even if you're having a battle of the pen, a battle of ideas, right? It's not to throw down the other person, to destroy the other person, to denigrate the other person. It's only you will engage in academic argument to the extent that if there's a fitna from the other side coming, it goes away, and that's it. And all of our fear should be of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, in verse 195, Allah Ta'ala mentions a teaching that is related to the above, because any justified effort to fight transgression and injustice requires expenditure, right? Today, the modern Western world calls it the defense budget and military spending, okay? But this is also general teaching about the importance and value of charity. وَأَنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. So that you should spend in the path of Allah Ta'ala, and do not, literally means with your own hands, cast yourself into ruin. وَأَحْسِنُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And be virtuous. Indeed, Allah Ta'ala loves the people of virtue. So okay, let's say I've used virtue for bir, right? Virtue and piety I use for bir. Fear and consciousness and awareness and reverence for Allah Ta'ala use for taqwa. So muhsinin wa ahsinu, and be of excellence. And indeed, Allah Ta'ala loves those who strive and adopt and adhere to excellence. Excellence and beauty. Beautiful excellence. That is ihsan. That is ihsan. Alright? What does this mean? What does it mean to cast oneself into ruin with one's own hands? It means by not giving, by being miserly, by being stingy. And if you connect it to what came before, if, like for example, if in this current climate we are not generous and we don't spend and we don't take care of the economic problems being caused by the current situation, then we are cast, those who could spend but don't spend, they're casting all of their community or their city or their country or humanity into ruin. Similarly, if there's a fitna and a zulm, an oppression, a sedition, and that is a violent oppression, and that is coming with such violence against us, it's trying to kill us. If we don't do something to ward that off, we will cast all of ourselves into ruin. Alright? This is what it means. And I would extend this simply also to poverty. If we do not spend enough to eliminate and eradicate poverty entirely, we are leading our whole humanity, our entire selves, down into the path and abyss of ruin. It may not be the elites won't be ruined, but we are ruining the moral fabric and spiritual virtue and character of humanity. Right? We are falling lower than the level of animals. Even the animals care more for one another than today humans care for one another. But alhamdulillah, there are many compassionate humans between Muslim and non-Muslim, and much human solidarity, and we see that on the rise, and may Allah Ta'ala make that triumph over the insensitivities that some of the, not all, but some of the elites have. Okay, verse 197 is about Hajj. verse 197 about Hajj, but it mentions 3 very important attributes, and I should have put her Hajj, 3 important attributes, and those are attributes that no doubt they're more necessary and emphasized on Hajj, but they're important throughout. Al-Hajju ashharu ma'lumat, that Hajj is known months, and all of us know, Allahu Akbar Kabira, maybe this year there won't be any Hajj. May Allah Ta'ala open up Haramain Sharifain soon. May Allah Ta'ala make us do qadr of these places. May Allah Ta'ala make us go again for Umrah and Hajj. Ameen. فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجَّ, so that person who undertakes the fard journey of Hajj in those known months, 3 things. فَلَا رَفَثَ, number 2, وَلَا فُسُوكَ, number 3, وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. 3 things they shouldn't do. 3 things they shouldn't do. Number 1, they shouldn't do any rafath. So rafath is close to that thing that was mentioned as fahsha. So fuhush and fahsha, we translated that as shamelessness and immodesty. So rafath, let's give this lewdness. Don't do anything that's lewd. Don't look at or touch the non-mahram women in tawaf, Allahu Akbar Kabira, or in the floor or the lobby or the elevator of the hotel. Don't still feel feelings of lust. Don't take this grand gathering or this place, this unique situation of Makkah Mukarramah, Muzdalifah, Arafat, where there is not separation of gender, whereas in every other place of worship, including Medina Munawwarah, Masjid Nabawi, there is separation of gender. Don't take this lack of separation of gender to fall back into your rafat, into your lewdness, and crudeness. Wala fusuka, and don't disobey Allah Ta'ala. Don't fall into disobedience, rebellion. We explained fisk and fusuk yesterday, if I remember correctly. Wala jidala, and don't quarrel and argue and fight with people on the plane and on the line in the airport and in the hotel and over food and over the cost of the package and Allahu Akbar. Fala rafatha wala fusuka wala jidala fil hajj. And generally also clearly these are not 3 things that are good things. So okay, how about we do this? Hajj is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Ramadan is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Due to the world situation, probably Allahu Alam, but looks like nobody's going to go for Hajj. Allah, maybe they've even announced that. I don't even know. Right? But okay, we're another pillar, Ramadan. Let's look at this. No rafath. This does apply and should apply to Ramadan as well. Fala rafatha, well that's haram. Wala fasuka, well that's haram. Wala jidala, you would know that Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in a hadith that if when you are fasting somebody tries to argue with you, dispute with you, respond to them, ana sa'im, I'm fasting. I don't do jidal, I don't do dispute and argumentation. So let's do these 3 things insha'Allah in this month of Ramadan, and let's make a lot of dua to Allah Ta'ala while observing this pillar, this fard, that Allah Ta'ala open up that pillar, the fard of the fard Hajj, again for this ummah. وَمَا تَفْعَلُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ يَعْلَمْهُ اللَّهُ. Again, anything you do of good, Allah knows it. Ya Allah, you're so kind. You're Al-Alim. You have so many wonderful things in your knowledge. You have so many incredible things that you alone know. And you have chosen. This is Allah Ta'ala's being Ra'uf. This is a tender mercy and gentle kindness with us that He's even bothered Himself to know about you and me and any small act that we do. وَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. وَتَزَوَّدُوا, that first meant that okay, make provision and prepare for the journey of Hajj. But the important teaching, فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى, and the best provision for the journey of Hajj and generally for the journey of this life is the provision of taqwa. So Ramadan, taqwa. Here you saw Hajj and taqwa. You saw Quran, taqwa, hudal muttaqin. You saw Ramadan, taqwa, la'allakum tattaqun. You're saying Hajj, taqwa, فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. وَاتَّقُونِي, and fear me, Allah Ta'ala is saying, revere me, be conscious of me, fear me, Ya ulul albab, O people of sensibility, subtle, heart, ruh, and aql and ilm, combined sensibility. These are the ulul albab. Okay, speed, 199. So the passages in Quran Kareem 197, 198, 199, Allah continues to talk about Hajj, and Allah mentions after Yawm al-Arafah, after you leave Arafah. And remember from the hadith that Arafah is the day that Allah Ta'ala forgives a person such that they were newly born. But still after that, ثُمَّ أَفِيدُ مِنْ حَيْثُ أَفَادَ النَّاسِ, then you should pour out. This is what Allah describes when you leave Arafat. Afidu, it's like pouring. You're pouring out, you're streaming out of Arafat, from the place from which people pour and stream out. right? Wastaghfirullah. Allahu Akbar kabira. Seek Allah Ta'ala's forgiveness. You just did Arafat, maybe the single greatest act of ibadah in our deen, right? Because Hajj is a once in a lifetime fard. Prayers many times, Ramadan is many times, Zakat is many times, Hajj is a once in a lifetime. And the ultimate thing, Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Al-Hajj Arafah is Arafat. You're just come out of the ultimate act of ibadah and you were forgiven by Allah Ta'ala and you're like a newly born baby, and what is Allah Ta'ala telling you to do? Wastaghfirullah, and seek the forgiveness of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Allahu Akbar kabira. Inna Allah ghafurur rahim. Why is Allah Ta'ala saying this? Because yes, you made tawbah, you begged Allah Ta'ala, you cried in Arafat, but seeking forgiveness is who you are. You're an abd, and forgiving is who He is. Inna Allah ghafurur rahim. Indeed, Allah Ta'ala is all forgiving and all merciful. Just like Allah Ta'ala remains ghafur, the very second and moment after He's forgiven you, He's still ghafur with you. Just like that, you will remain on your istighfar the very second and moment after you have been forgiven by Him after Arafat. Allahu Akbar kabira. This is deen. This is Quran al-Kareem. And so we should make istighfar every time we finish the fast. Make istighfar to be offered the fard salah. Let's take this teaching of istighfar in all of our faraid and wajibat. We make istighfar after a'mal. Verses 200 to 201 are about dua. About the famous dua, Rabbana atina fid dunya. Okay. فَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا. So from some people, they say, what? Only they say that, O our Rabb, grant us what is in the dunya. Grant us what is in this material world. So what does Allah say? If you don't ask for it, you won't get it. وَمَالُهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ. Khalaq means even an iota of that is created. So khalaq, you can see the root, kha, lam, qaf, right? And then there's a tanween on, which is even more infinitesimal. Khair, وَمَالُهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ. That they will have not the slightest share, not even a drop of the akhirah, because they make dua for it. وَمِنْهُمْ. But so we should be very careful. Never ever in any dua, just out of adab of dua, even if you know you're facing a tough time and you make dua for that, right? Still make one dua for akhirah. Just at least include one dua of akhirah anytime we're making dua for dunya. وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَقُولُ رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. But from amongst the people, there are those who say, Rabbana, O our Rabb. Now the first people, they also said Rabbana. The second people also say Rabbana. They also say Atina. They also say for dunya. But the second ones, they added Hasana. Then grant me the noble things in this world. Remember Hasana we did? The beautiful and excellent things. The noble things in this world. And the noble things in the akhirah and the hereafter. And third, so make sure we insert this third thing also in every dua. And I think a lot of us don't do that. I don't do that. And I'm learning myself everything I say to you. All right. You may think I've learned it and I'm saying it to you. I'm live learning. I am the student of this class. All right. Waqina adhab an-nar. Every dua we should beg Allah to save us from the punishment of the fire of Jahannam. Allahu Akbar kabira. Allahumma ajirna minan nar. Allahumma ajirna minan nar. Allahumma ajirna minan nar. Alright. Verses 206 to 207, Allah Ta'ala mentions some bad character traits. Some bad character traits. And there was a series of verses on this. And there's a particular context, but I should also explain to you, every verse of Quran, no matter what its specific, historical, particular context, place in seerah, every verse of Quran has some level of general meaning, maybe even universality, right? There's always a general teaching irrespective of the specific context. This is also a modernist reformist mistake. Na'udhu they try to confine the meanings of Quran, restrict it to specific contexts, and then say it doesn't apply in today's context. Quran al-Kareem is absolutely eternal and universal. And no verse is exclusively specific in that sense. I mean, there may be one or two things specifically about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but basically, almost every verse has this umum, or more deep and wider applied meaning. Okay, so this is what I'm doing here with these two verses, 206 and 207. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُ, so don't worry about who that who is. And when it's said to him, اتَّقِ اللَّهِ, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُ اتَّقِ اللَّهَ, when it's said to him to have taqwa, right? What I wanted to talk about is the bad attributes. What was the response? أَخَذَتْهُ الْإِزَّةُ بِالْإِثْمِ. Allahu Akbar Kabira. Ajib. أَخَذَتْهُ الْإِزَّةُ بِالْإِثْمِ. It's this, it's not good izzah, let's put it that way. It's not izzah. Izzah is honor, right? Izzah here means his own delusional self-glory. Seizes him. أَخَذَتْهُ الْإِزَّةُ, seizes him. بِالْإِثْمِ, sinfully, with sins. So what does Allah Ta'ala say? فَحَسْبُهُ جَهَنَّمُ وَلَبِئْسَ الْمِهَادُ. So Jahannam suffices for such a person. Hellfire suffices for such a person. What an evil abode it is indeed. So why did I mention this first bad character? Sometimes when a person tells us to have taqwa, our arrogance overcomes us. We think we have some honor, that who is this person to tell me that I should have taqwa? Who is this person to give me a talk on leaving sin? Why do these ulama talk about leaving sin from the mimbars? Some of our secular, liberal, sweet, beloved, sincere fellows, but they're just mistaken. They sometimes go on these rants and raves against ulama. All they talk about is leaving sin. But do you think you're beyond that? Are you someone special? Do you have some type of izzah, some type of honor due to your money and your car and your big house and your degree, that nobody should talk to you about this topic about leaving sins and taqwa? This is what's going on here. Aap samne? Alright? وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْرِي نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ. Then the second bad attribute. Allahu Akbar is from the people. There's man, such a person. Yashri nafsu, that they sell themselves. They sell their soul. They sell their being. How? Ibtigha'a mardatillahi. Seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what does it mean? The first one cannot even take a pinch on their izzah, cannot take a pinch on their pride and arrogance, what they perceive to be their honor, that somebody is telling them to have taqwa. And the other one is willing to sell their very soul and being, forget their honor, they'll give up their whole selves. Ibtigha mardatillahi, to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu Akbar. Now this is the difference. This is deen. This is what we should be. This is what we should aspire to be. That no, address me, tell me, I'm nothing. I can give up my whole self, my whole being. I don't have some, I'm not beyond receiving nasihah of deen. But what's the niyyah, what's the motivation, what's the passion? Ibtigha'a mardatillahi. And literally, mardat is pluralized, so seeking the pleasures, the many, many ways of the pleasure of Allah Ta'ala. And then Allah Ta'ala says another beautiful, beautiful thing. Wallahu ra'ufum bil ibad. And Allah Ta'ala is ra'uf. Allah Ta'ala is extremely gentle, kind, tender, merciful, nurturing bil ibad, with his creatures and servants and slaves. Alright. Next verses 208 and 209. So all linked, right? So now when you understood that, what are we supposed to do? Very important verse. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu udkhulu fis-silmi kaffa. That all you believe, enter deen of Islam sufficiently, adequately, completely, deeply. So it's not enough, okay, I'm a lukewarm Muslim, I kind of practice Islam. It's not enough, you can't say this to get yourself off the hook. Oh, I know, I should be better. Oh, look, yes, I'm a sitting Muslim, I don't pray, you're so pious, pray for me. No, what are you talking about? How can you even say this sentence that, oh, I don't pray? How can you say that? Udkhulu fis-silmi kaffa. Enter deen of Islam kaffa. Deeply, entirely, sufficiently, adequately, intensely, passionately. Remember that person? Go back before. Remember this? Man yashri nafsahu ibtigha'a mardatillahi. That's kaffa. so much that you're willing to give up your whole self, your soul, your being to seek every single form of Allah Ta'ala's pleasure. That's how deep you have to enter deen. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. What does it mean, Shaytan footsteps or what? They didn't enter completely. He did so many things, but he refused to do sajda to Allah Ta'ala towards Adam alayhi salam. He refused to obey a commandment of Allah Ta'ala. And if you think about this, it's very telling. Shaytan refused one command. And that's being mentioned here as the example of what it means to not enter Islam completely, sufficiently, adequately. And me and you, how many? Oh, not one. There's so many commands. Okay, let me give you some hope as well. The difference is that Shaitan did it stubbornly, and he did it without remorse, without regret, never did istighfar, never did tawbah. So the difference we can try to make between us and Shaitan is not going to be this, that he disobeyed, we never disobey. The difference is he disobeyed one command, we disobey many commands, but the difference is that he felt no remorse, no regret, didn't seek forgiveness, didn't make tawbah, and we feel remorse, regret, we're ashamed, we seek Allah's forgiveness, we make tawbah, we try. Even if just to fail again, but we always try. We don't want to disobey. We hope we don't disobey. We feel sad when we disobey. That's the difference. That's the way we make the difference. إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ, already done. فَإِنْ زَلَلْتُم مِّن بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَتْكُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتِ. Alright, so if you stumble, slip after that which, when the bayinat, the clear proofs have come to you, فَعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَزِيزٌ حَكِيمٌ, then you should know that indeed Allah Ta'ala is Aziz, He is Almighty. He could make you the object of His might. He is Almighty, but Hakim. He is also All-Wise. This is very important. Because the stumble here, the zalaltum, it can be extreme, it can have an extreme meaning, right? Which means that you leave the bayinat, you leave iman. And then Allah Ta'ala obviously will apply His might. It can also mean a small slip, a small stumble. And Allah Ta'ala is Hakim, He is wise, right? And this also shows, by the way, these pairing of this is itself a whole separate course that we have for many years planned and hope to do. Inshallah, Allah give us tawfiq. These pairings of the names teach us many things as well. So Aziz and Hakim, it's also teaching us that might must be paired with wisdom. So if somebody is a ruler or has any type of might, authority, power over others, it's necessary that they also have wisdom. Otherwise, if they don't have wisdom, you should never let them have that power. And that's why Hakim and Hakim, as you know, they come from the same word ruler, and wise come from the same root. Okay? Ha, kaf, mim. Okay? Clear. Alright. And so may Allah Ta'ala grant this ummah and all of humanity rulers that are wise. Because it's not just ummah, the US is a very unwise ruler, is causing problems for everybody, right? So we need to make dua that Allah Ta'ala grant all of humanity and all countries wise rulers. Alright. Verse 212, Allah Ta'ala grants, it's just simple, just translate it. Wallahu yarzuqu man yasha'u bighayri hisab. Alright? Allah Ta'ala grants, and I should have put the 3 dots here, this is the closing words of verse 212. But the point is that Allah Ta'ala grants rizq, sustenance, number 1, man yasha'u, to whomsoever He wants. Yes, outwardly we appear to who works for it, who strives for it. That is also there. That is necessary. But ultimately, the rizq is not earned by a person. Wallahu yarzuqu, ultimately, the rizq is granted by Allah Ta'ala. Second, ultimately, the rizq is not based on our striving. Rather, the rizq is given by Allah Ta'ala, man yasha, to whom He wants. Third, the rizq is not based on some calculation, but rather when we earn it, but when Allah Ta'ala gives it, is bighayri hisab, it is without any calculation. So we should make dua to Allah Ta'ala to grant us rizq and to increase this rizq upon the ummah. Verse 213. This is about the Prophet ﷺ ajma'een and the fact, and so this is like about the history of humanity. Very important. Very important. Kana nasu ummatun wahida, that humanity was one community. Humanity was one community. So you can say that this is like the original history, the beginning. It means Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam, alright? And the original first Bani Adam up to, let's say, the time of Nuh alayhi salam. And even you can continue this after the flood and the true believers left after the time of Nuh alayhi salam. They're all one ummah. All one ummah. Okay? Then at some point after Nuh alayhi salam, maybe starting with Ibrahim alayhi salam, maybe before Ibrahim alayhi salam, but certainly Ibrahim alayhi salam and onward, and maybe before also, Allahu alam, فَبَعَثَ اللَّهُ النَّبِيِّينَ, Allah Ta'ala sent plural prophets. Prophets. Alright? Okay, what did those prophets do? مُبَشِّرِينَ, they brought glad tidings. وَمُنذِرِينَ, but they were also warners. Okay, brought the glad tidings, number one, that Allah Ta'ala exists. This is the greatest, not just about Jannah. The greatest glad tidings that the prophets gave to humanity is you're not alone. You have a Rabb, you have Allah. Second greatest is your life is not meaningless. It has meaning, you live for akhirah. Right? This is the greatest glad tidings. You ask a person who's converted to Islam, this is the biggest change in my life. I have Allah and I have meaning. My life has meaning now. وَمُنذِرِينَ, and they're warners. That if now that you've heard this, that about Allah Ta'ala and about akhirah, and you don't change, you say, you shrug and you turn away, then there's a warning of the wrath and punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَنزَلَ مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابِ, and then Allah Ta'ala sent with all of those ma'hum, all of those prophets and messengers, and this includes Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-kitab. That's interesting. Why is al-kitab being mentioned singular? Because the actual essential true teachings are the same, whether it's in the Injil or the Torah or the Quran. Alright? Bil haqqi. And Allah Ta'ala sent them with truth. Okay? So Allah Ta'ala sent down the scripture revelations with truth. لِيَحْكُمَ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ, so that to decide and judge between humanity فِي مَخْتَلَفُوا فِيهِ, regarding those matters on which they differ. Regarding those matters in which they differ between and amongst each other. So this is the history of humanity, right? The reason why I was saying khair, but that will lead to so many detail. I will just make one point here, is that there are certain nabiyyin, if I remember correctly, 25 prophets mentioned by name in Quran al-Kareem. But Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in hadith that there are 120,000 or maybe even more prophets alayhim assalam ajmain. So the ulama, their understanding is, the theologians' understanding is, and this is going to come later in Quran from some verses, that Allah Ta'ala actually did send a Nabi to every single segment of humanity. Now that segment may have lasted centuries, right? Like the time between Nabi Isa alayhi salam and Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that segment of humanity was over 600 years, and that segment can translate geographic areas that was spread over many areas. You can say that Nabi Isa alayhi salam was the prophet for the entire earth for those entire six, and his prophecy was valid for those entire 6 centuries, and he's still a prophet. Alright? But when you look at 124,000 as a suggestion, and we know, for example, there have been times historically, and this has also been taught in Quran, that there have been a time when there have been multiple anbiya on earth at the same time. We know there have been multiple anbiya at the same time in the same place, like let's say Musa alayhi salam and Harun alayhi salam. Alright? So the point is that every community has been sent prophets. Some ulama have speculated about if you look at the historians' record of humanity. So there's a certain time since historians have been recording human history, right? I don't know how many hundred of years or thousands of years of BC that goes. And some have said that even, let's say, Socrates, Plato, they may not themselves have been prophets, but they have met some prophet, or they may have heard or read some teachings that some prophet hundreds of years before them had left, because you find some elements of truth in BC, let's say, early Chinese, Indian, Greek, Roman things before Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam. And for all we know, those truths and those wisdoms may just have been the legacy of one or many of those 120,000 plus prophets. Alright? Okay. Here. 214, an interesting thing. That trials come upon believers and even come on prophets. Okay, this is important. Am hasibtum an tadkhulul jannata walamma ya'tikum mathalul ladhina khalaw min qablikum. Do you think that you will just simply enter Jannah, you will enter Jannah, paradise, heaven, without there happening to you, coming to you, the same kinds of things that happened and came to those who passed, those who were khalaw min qablikum, who were before you, who passed before you? What happened to them? Mashatumul ba'sa'u wal dhara'u. So we did these two words before. Misfortune and hardship befell them. Wazulzilu. And they were so shaken. This is from earthquake. They were devastatedly shaken. Hatta yaqular rasulu. This is not Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is the previous community, such that their prophet said, "Walladina amanu ma'ahu," and all of those who had believed with their prophet, they all cried out to Allah Ta'ala in a state of desperation, exasperation, "Mata nasrullah," that when will the help of Allah Ta'ala come? And then Allah Ta'ala declares, "Allah inna nasrullahi qareeb." Indeed, surely the help of Allah Ta'ala is near. So what it means is, in this Allah Ta'ala was originally, so let me show you some of the original aspect of revelation. Allah Ta'ala is originally here giving tasalli, consolation to Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that you, Prophet sallallahu and Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ajmain, are being so attacked by the people in Makkah, Makarama, Badr, Uhud, etc. So this has happened before, and previous prophets and their believers were also put in such situations of ba'sa and dara, misfortune, adversity, hardship, difficulty, so to such an extreme extent that it's like an earthquake, shattering, devastation. And they also then turned to Allah Ta'ala and asked, as some of your hearts may be expressing, when will the help of Allah Ta'ala come? And know, Allah inna nasrallahi qareeb, that indeed Allah Ta'ala's help is surely near. And now let's take the umum and the mana, let's widely apply that. That's true for all of us. Any one of us, sometimes we may find ourselves in a situation of difficulty where we see no way out. We wonder, when is Allah Ta'ala going to help me? So we can even, and just, it's helpful at that time to recite this verse, ponder over it, linger over it, repeat these words. Mata nasrullahi, Allah inna nasrullahi qareeb. Mata nasrullahi, Allah inna nasrullahi qareeb. And maybe for some people, they may even apply this to current situations. Okay. 216. So in verse, so this is the end of 216. 216 is again about fighting those who fight you. All right, and then Allah Ta'ala mentions the teaching specifically about that, but more generally, which is the following: وَأَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا, that it is quite possible that you dislike something, وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ, and actually it is good for you. وَأَسَىٰ تُحِبُّ شَيْئًا, and it's quite possible that you adore and are fond and love something. وَهُوَ شَرٌ لَكُمْ, but it is actually evil for you. وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ, and Allah knows. وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, and you all do not know. So simply I gave the title, Allah Ta'ala knows what's best for you. Alright? And this is again the wisdom of Sharia. This is the humility and submission. And this is because Allah is a perfect being. Because He's the perfect being of perfect knowledge and perfect wisdom, we can never perfectly know the wisdom behind the deen. We can never perfectly know and perfectly appreciate the wisdom behind the commandments of Allah Ta'ala. So sometimes it might happen that there may be something in deen that we kind of dislike it, the karaha. But it's actually better for us. But remember, Wallahu ya'lamu wa antum la ta', we won't know that. Now it might be that we could learn that through further study. There'll be some cases like that, and there'll be other cases that you can never know it. It's not a matter of study. It's not a matter of ilm. It's not a matter of knowledge. This is a matter of submission, humble submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And similarly, the opposite is that we want something, and here they'll use their strong word, tuhibbu, that you love something. And this is going to come later. It's going to come today. So let me just explain it now. You might love a mushrik, but you can't marry them, right? And that's going to come in a few verses. You might love some wrong thing or haram thing, and Allah knows it's evil for you. You might love, the country might love to take a loan on interest from the World Bank because it thinks it would help them, but it's shar for you, it's evil for you. Alright. Verse 217. Going, if you remember just one thing, we had done this before, that fitna was worse. I just wanted to show you that it comes again. Wal fitnatu akbaru min al qatl. So one is qital, one is qatl. So fitna is even worse than killing. Fitna is even worse than killing. So fitna is again oppression. Again, here I should have this is in the middle of the verse, so there should be 3 dots before and 3 dots afterwards here. Okay, so fitna is worse than killing. And now watch. وَلَا يَزَالُونَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ حَتَّى يَرْدُوكُمْ عَنْ دِينِكُمْ إِنِ اسْتَطَاعُوا. That they will not cease to fight and keep on fighting you to the extent of killing you. And they will not cease to fight and keep on fighting to the extent of killing you, believers, hatta, until they make you, believers, renounce your religion. Yaruddukum an dinakum, until they make you leave and renounce religion, in istata'u, if they're able to do so. So again, the original context was, why were the people of Makkah Mukarramah constantly fighting? If you think about it, the Prophet ﷺ and Sahaba, they chose peace. They said, okay, we won't fight with you in Makkah, we leave. You're pressing us, you put us on boycott, you're unhappy with us, you don't like us here, we leave. We go to Medina, we live our own life somewhere else. But these people said, no, we'll come after you. They sent an army in Badr. They sent an army in Uhud. Right? And so what is it? It wasn't peace that they wanted. Otherwise they should have been happy. You left Makkah Mukarramah, we're happy. It's not peace. They will keep fighting you until they can, because their aim is to try to get you to leave your deen. So they sent those armies to Medina Munawwarah because they wanted to eradicate Islam from earth. That's what they wanted. They didn't just want peace in Makkah Mukarramah. Allahu Akbar. And so that's the historical, and that's the general teaching. It's not true every time in every war, right? Like I mentioned earlier, many wars are just about territory, power, politics, geography, borders, ethnicity, race, language, so many things. But there's one type of war that can be due to this, in which they want you to leave your very deen itself. Okay, Hijrah, verse 218. This is the next verse is talking about Hijrah. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَالَّذِينَ هَاجَرُوا وَجَاهَدُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أُولَٰئِكَ يَرْجُونَ رَحْمَةَ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Indeed, those who have Iman and they migrated. So the original meaning is is about the Sahaba who migrated from Makkah Mukarramah to Medina Munawwarah. وَجَاهَدُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. And now having arrived in Medina Munawwarah, they have to defend themselves in the path of Allah Ta'ala against these aggressors and oppressor armies. These are the people who can truly have hope, be hopeful in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And indeed, Wallahu Ghafurur Rahim, Allah is all forgiving, all merciful. So the general teaching is here is, if you have Iman and you make some effort for the sake of Allah ta'ala, and even after making that effort you face opposition, so you strive against that opposition, then you should have hope now and place your hope in the mercy of Allah ta'ala. And indeed, Allah ta'ala is all forgiving and all merciful. Alright? So I can just give you one example. If you have Iman and you migrate away from sin, but still those people who you used to sin with, they're still after you. Those old friends are still trying to pressure you. Those old memories are still haunting you. So now you have to strive against that. And then when you strive against it a second time, then inshallah you can be hopeful of the mercy of Allah Ta'ala. And indeed, Allah Ta'ala is all forgiving. He will forgive whatever happened before. And He is Rahim, He is merciful. He will accept your tawbah and protect you here onward. 219. Two topics in verse 219. One is simply that sin is harmful, and the second is that it's good to give charity. And the fact that they came together in one verse has an interesting connection. Alright? And this other aspect of Allah Ta'ala knows. Okay? Yes, that they will ask you, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, regarding liquor, alcohol, intoxicants, and maisir, gambling and speculation. Qul, proclaim to them, beloved Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, fihima, in both of these, ithmun kabirun. Ithmun kabirun, there is great, tremendous sin, enormous sin. Wa manafi'u, and some kind of benefit as well. Lin nasi, for humanity. وَإِثْمُهُمَا, but the sin in the two of them, akbaru, because it was kabir, is even greater and more tremendous and more enormous, min naf'ihima, than the benefit to be found in those two. So what does it clearly mean? Allah knows and you don't know. And yes, Allah knows that it is harmful for you, and that's why He told you to leave it. So a perfect example of this is some modernists like to say, oh, it came in the New England Journal of Cardiology that drinking 1 glass of wine is good for your heart, so why should we not drink and we're not getting intoxicated anyway? So again, and this is the answer. وَإِثْمُهُمَا أَكْبَرُ مِنْ نَفْئِهِمَا, the harm in it is greater than the benefit in it. The small benefit in it was discovered by the medical profession and published in the journal. The harm in it can also be discovered by humanity, but ultimately, even if not, is known to Allah Ta'ala and is discovered by you simply by finding that Allah Ta'ala prohibited in the Quran. That's how you discover it. That's greater than any scientific discovery, greater than any published text. Okay? About the spending. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ مَاذَا يُنْفِقُونَ, and then they ask you, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what should they spend? So he gave a very simple one. Allah Ta'ala instructed the Prophet ﷺ to give a very simple answer. Qul, proclaim to him, al-af. What can be spared? Like afu means to forgive. So what money you can spare, right? At least to spend that. Spend what you can spare. This is ease. You want to talk about ease? Spend what you can spare. This is a nice motto for some maybe charitable welfare organizations. كَذَلِكَ يُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ لَكُمُ الْآيَاتِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Thus does Allah Ta'ala clearly, manifestly explain to you His verses of Quran al-Kareem and the signs of the wisdom and wonders and perfections and greatness of deen, haply so that you may reflect upon it. Okay? Alright, verse 221. Marry a believer. So here I will actually just very quickly do this. Allah Ta'ala is saying, do not marry. So first Allah addresses the men. That men, you should not marry mushrikat, right? Polytheist women. Hatta yu'minna, until and unless they accept iman. Okay? And even a slave, and this is a different topic, maybe we'll do it a different time. Wa la amatun, and surely indeed a believing slave is better than a polytheist, idolatrous woman. Walau a'jabatkum, very important, even if they please you, even if you're attracted to them, might be attracted to the personality, even if you're fond of them, even if you fall in love with them, iman is more important. And Allah Ta'ala addresses the women. Wala tunkihu, O women, you should not marry mushrikeen, idol worshipping polytheist men, hatta yu'minu, until and unless they accept iman. Wala abdun mu'minun. So here the verse is not about slaves, it's just complete symmetry, complete gender symmetry and parity here. And the believing slave, khairun min mushrik, is better than the free polytheist idol worshipper. Walau a'jabakum, even if you may be enamored of them, you're amazed by them, right? You fall in love with them, you're wonderstruck by them. So complete gender parity here. So the teaching for both genders is what? That even if you fall in love, you're amazed at a person's personality, you're in ta'ajjub by their looks or their character or their personality. If they don't have iman, iman is more important. Iman is more important. Iman is more important. Ulaika yad'una ila nar. If you marry such a person who is on shirk, who is ascribed partners to Allah Ta'ala, then they are going to invite you to the path of Jahannam. Wallahu yadu ila jannati. And Allah Ta'ala is calling you to Jannah, wal maghfirati, and forgiveness from Him, bi'idhnihi, from His warrant and permission. وَيُبَيِّنُ آيَاتِهِ لِلنَّاسِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَذَكَّرُونَ. Right? Same ending, similar ending like before. There's another beautiful, wondrous aspect of Quran, these endings. And Allah Ta'ala makes clear and manifest the verses of His revelation, لِلنَّاسِ, for all people, لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَذَكَّرُونَ, so that they can heed and take advice from it. 224 to 225. We're almost done, inshallah ta'ala. Almost done, inshallah. Few slides left. Because I also have to, 224 to 225. So we can try to speak super fast, inshallah. On intentions and 3 virtues. Okay. I remember. وَلَا تَجْعَلُوا اللَّهَ أُرْضَةً لِأَيْمَانِكُمْ. It literally means do not make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it means do not make invoking Allah ta'ala through your iman, not iman, iman, your oaths and pledges. Do not let that become an obstacle or hindrance to you in what? Antabarru, remember bir, that you should be virtuous and pious. وَتَتَّقُوا, that you should be reverent and fearful of Allah, taqwa, and God conscious. وَتُصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ, so 3 characteristics, and that you make peace and mend ties between people. Alright? So what happens is that somebody says, oh, I swear I will never do this, or I swear by Allah I will never do that, right? I'm just knuckling it. So Allah is saying, no, don't do that. Don't swear today using Allah Ta'ala's name not to do something which you should be doing. Don't swear using Allah Ta'ala's name today not to do something that actually you should do it because it is bir and taqwa for you, or through that you will bring about a peace with other people. Alright? Okay, so excessive oaths and, etc. Okay, but these are the 3 characteristics I wanted to show: bir, taqwa, and third very important thing, because we've done bir earlier, selected verses on this, done taqwa, islah bin al-nas. Very important to try to mend ties between people. Wallahu Samiyun Alim, and another divine name pairing is coming here. Allah is all hearing, all knowing. He hears every oath that you take, and He knows every intention you had when taking that oath in your heart. Alright? Okay. Then Allah Ta'ala says, because He is all hearing and all knowing, La yu'akhidukumullahu bil-laghwi fi aymanikum. Allah Ta'ala won't take you to task and make you reckon and call you to account for laghwi, for the, you can say, futile, careless, pointless things that you said in your oaths. وَلَكِنْ يُؤَاخِذُكُمْ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ. But Allah Ta'ala will take you to task and call you to reckon for what your hearts have earned, your hearts. Wallahu ghafurun halim. And now another divine pairing. Allah Ta'ala is all forgiving, halimun. He is all ghafurun, all forgiving. Halimun means Allah Ta'ala is ever and always willing to withhold His mu'akhadha. So mu'akhadha, yu'akhidhukum, mu'akhadha means Allah Ta'ala taking you to account. Right? You can imagine that Allah Ta'ala, His might overwhelming you and His power grabbing you and seizing you for punishment or reckoning or accounting for what you did. But Allah Ta'ala is Halim. He always wants not to do that. He always wants to withhold that. He always wants to withhold that. He is always willing to bear your transgressions as long as you turn to Him in forgiveness, and He will forgive you, Ghafur, and as you change your ways and make tawbah, He is Tawwab, He will turn towards you. Alright? Okay, so it's not so much specific about the oaths, but it's about this relationship and also about this aspect of bima kasabat qulubukum, that it's your hearts, and our heart makes mistakes, and it's the bad emotions and bad feelings in our hearts that are more called to account by Allah Ta'ala than any bad words we may say. May Allah Ta'ala purify us of all bad words and all bad feelings. Okay. Few verses on divorce. Few verses on certain particular aspects of divorce, and I think this is. Let me just see. Yeah, this is pretty much the last topic we're doing is this issue of divorce. So I took these 229, 232, 237, 241. First, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and there are several things, and this may be one case where generally, if you see, I've not been teaching you so much of fiqh or ahkam or the legal rulings of Quran. But here I may a little bit do that. At-talaku marratan, that talaq is done twice. after that, what does it mean? So it means a talaq that is revocable. A talaq after which a pronouncement or issuance of divorce after which conciliation is still possible, that takes place twice. And the third pronouncement of divorce, after that, no reconciliation is possible. So that divorce after which reconciliation is possible, after which there's still a choice as to whether you're going to get back together or separate, that can be done twice, marratan. Thereafter, فَإِمْسَاكُمْ بِمَعْرُوفٍ أَوْ تَسْرِيحٌ بِإِحْسَانٍ. After that, then now you finally must make a choice. This is also very clear because the third talaq is irrevocable. It's final, after which there's no choice. After the twice, either keep the spouse bit maruf in a manner that is known to be just and fair, or tasrihun bi ihsan, or you should let her go, right, in ihsan, not in maruf. Ihsan is higher. Maruf means generally fair and just. Ihsan means beyond justice and fairness at a level of excellence and beauty. So if you keep her, keep at least with maruf, and if you release her, bi ihsan, right? So that actually shows that people, always say, talaq is the most hateful thing of permissible things. Yes, it is, but there are certain cases when it might be better for the two spouses, and the way to do that, and one of the signs of that, is that they separate with ihsan, with beautiful excellence and excellent beauty. Okay. The second thing, the second verse is, so this was just part of verse 229. The second verse on divorce, all these now verses 229 to 241 and even a few more are on this topic of divorce. The second one I wanted to select for this series is verse number 232. Alright? وَإِذَا طَلَقْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ. So this is talking about the final divorce. Okay? When you so how can I explain this? It's not final divorce, it's the divorce that took effect. So the final divorce is the third divorce. If you issue one divorce and you don't make up, or you issue two divorces and you don't make up, but you decide, like we just did, that you let the wife go with ihsan. If only one or two divorces took place, after which then you decided to separate, and the iddah passed, right? So the talaq has been affected. But if then the woman wants to get back with her husband, it's not after three divorces, it's after the first one or the second one, having been affected, and separation was chosen. If after that, 1 week after that, 1 year after that, anytime after that, she wants to get back to her husband, you should not stop her from remarrying her husband. Okay? This is not after the third divorce. This is why now I remember I selected this verse. This verse is sometimes misused to suggest it's after the third divorce. It's not. And I showed you the opening of this whole series of verses. It's about at-talaqu marratan. So the beginning of 229 is governing all of this, including 232. Right? Okay. So this is what, then I've ended up translating this verse as well for you, 232. Okay? You should not prevent them from going back to the husbands. إِذَا تَرَاضَوْا بَيْنَهُمْ, when they have mutually agreed to do so, bil maruf. And again, we did that up already, فَإِمْسَاكُمْ بِمَعْرُوف. Alright? I don't know if you can see the cursor. One day I may try to add this ability to show you the cursor, inshallah. Okay. ذَلَكَ يُؤَذُ بِهِ مَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. Alright? This is the way Allah Ta'ala has done wa'adh, that you have been counseled. Okay? Which ones? Those of you who, man kana minkum, those of you from you, yu'minu billahi, who believe in Allah Ta'ala, wal yawm al-akhir, and the last day. And then dhalikum azka lakum, that is more pure for you, wa athar, and more azka and more athar. Azka and athar, more tazkiyah and more tuhur. It is more virtuous and more pure for you. More purifying and more pure. I would translate it this way. That is more purifying for you and more pure. Wallahu ya'lamu, and Allah Ta'ala knows, wa antum la ta'lamun, and you don't know why this is better. Right? This is also, by the way, going back to this notion that many times divorce takes place due to third parties. And then after the divorce is finally effected, after one or two, and the parties have separated, if later the husband and wife now independently realize that it was all third party influence, we made a mistake, let's get back together, those third parties again will try not to let the woman remarry her husband. So that's why Allah is saying that if you truly believe in Allah Ta'ala on the last day, you will not do that. And that will be more purifying for you and more pure for you. And Allah Ta'ala knows and you don't know. Alright. The other two verses I selected on divorce, 237 and 241. Alright, and then again, those who want more detail, whether art tafsir, other tafsirs, or audio tafsir, written tafsir, you can look at all these verses and the ones that were in between as well. Alright. Verse 237, again, I'm sorry, there should have been 3 dots in the front. So this is talking about the meher, right? And ultimately, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is a particular situation in which, let's say, the marriage has not been consummated, and therefore the husband is entitled to the return of the meher, return of half of the meher. But Allah Ta'ala is saying it's better in this case, when the marriage was not even consummated, وَأَن تَعْفُوا, that you should even spare that, forgive that, waive that, and let her keep her entire meher. أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى, and that is closer to taqwa, nearer to the fear of Allah Ta'ala, consciousness of the reverence of Allah Ta'ala. I'm highlighting this because it shows clearly, number one, that the meher should be given soon. Because Allah Ta'ala in the Quran is talking about a marriage that was not consummated and the meher was already, either given or it's incumbent. Right? And here Allah Ta'ala is saying that it's better if you waive that legal ruling that, okay, you only have to give half, give the full amount. And this is a big problem that today people don't give the meher. And so this one legal I want to explain that you should give the meher. It's a misunderstanding that meher is only to be given in divorce. Meher is to be, the nikah is what mandates the meher, not the divorce. The divorce is just the expiration of the payment period for the mandatory payment of meher, which became mandatory by nikah. It doesn't become mandatory only by talaq. Okay? Alright. وَلَا تَنْسَوُا الْفَضْلَ, and don't forget the bounty. بَيْنَكُمْ, to be fazl, to have fazl between. You should give each other more, give more fazl between each other. Or don't forget the fazl Allah Ta'ala placed there. Or don't forget the good times that you had. There are many ways you could do this. إِنَّ اللَّهَ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ بَصِيرٌ. Indeed, Allah Ta'ala is all aware of every single thing that you do. Okay. And then finally, on verse 241, the last verse that we're doing on divorce, وَلِلْمُطَلِّقَاتِ مَتَاعٌ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, and for the women who have been divorced, there is provision for them. There is provision for them, and whatever is ma'ruf in that society, whatever is viewed as just and fair and honest in that society. And if the laws of the land are fair, they will apply, even if that law may not find itself in the Sharia, as long as, number one, the law is not contrary to Sharia, against anything in Sharia, and the law is estimated by the Sharia to be fair and balanced. Okay? Haqqan, and this is a haqq alal muttaqeen. So if we want to be muttaqi, this is a right and duty for the people of taqwa to support the divorcee in a manner that is ma'ruf. Alright. One more thing on this was about marrying widows. So to be honest with you, I did not select this verse. This is one of the verses that Imam al-Ghazali, this is I think the only verse of today that Imam al-Ghazali selected that I had not selected. I made my selection and before I had looked at this book. And so I put this here. And this again shows that Imam al-Ghazali obviously had a much deeper understanding of Quran and saw wisdoms here that I failed to see. And alhamdulillah, may Allah reward him and all the ulama who spent their lives reciting, learning, teaching, sharing, living Quran al-Kareem. And may Allah make all of us follow in their footsteps and make each and every one of us as well the true followers of Quran al-Kareem. This verse, it's about widows, right? And I think the lesson I wanted to take out from this verse is how much Allah Ta'ala wants that a widow, right, a woman whose husband has died, that a widow should be married, and they should not be left unmarried in society. Okay, so this verse 235, I went back a little bit. I did the verses on divorce together. Okay. وَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِيمَا أَرَدْتُمْ أَدْتُ the sinning. And there is no blame upon you in intimating, conveying a khitbah. Khitbah means a proposal to the widow, or if you keep it within yourself, that's also fine. Alim Allah, Allah Ta'ala knows, right? Alim Allahu annakum satadkurunahunna walakin la tuwa'iduhunna sirran. Allah Ta'ala knows what is in your heart. Allah Ta'ala knows that you mean to propose to them, but do not pledge this to them openly. Rather, you should do it secretly, except that you speak in a noble and honorable way. Illa an taqulu qawlan ma'rufa. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying is that during her iddah, does not befit the sanctity of the waiting period to outwardly, openly already be, let's say, quote unquote, moving on so fast, let's put it that way. But it is actually fine if in the heart one has possibly moved on, or doesn't have to move on, but if the heart is now turning towards another marriage. And if there is some subtle, slight indication and expression of interest mutually with proper noble wordings, that is fine. Otherwise, simply wait for the iddah to finish. But I'm just saying what I'm trying to, Allah Imam Ghazali, what wisdom and beauty he specifically had in mind when he selected this verse. But every verse of Quran has wisdom and beauty, right? And so many, all of you also will have noticed and appreciated so many things in the verses that we did today that I was not able to highlight. But for me, what struck me was Allah Ta'ala wants widows remarried very fast, even to the extent that even during the iddat there may be arrangements and expressions of interest being made, and this is so different from what we see in society. And so this is one thing I wanted to highlight in here, and that Allah Ta'ala also knows what's in the hearts, and He allows us to express things within very carefully guarded limits. All right. And then so finally, obviously, one should not وَلَا تَعْزِمُوا أُقْدَةَ النِّكَاحِ. Don't resolve on doing the actual knot in contract of nikah حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ الْكِتَابُ أَجَلَهُ, until her prescribed time and period of iddat has expired. وَأَعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ, and know indeed that Allah Ta'ala knows what is in your breasts and yourselves. فَأْذَرُوهُ, and therefore you should always be wary of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Beware of Him, right? وَأَعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ حَلِيمٌ, and know that Allah Ta'ala is all forgiving, all Halim. You can say all. It's hard to find a good English word for this, but I've already explained to you Ghafurun Halim earlier. What do we have left? Okay, 238 to 239. Hafidhu ala salawat, that you should carefully guard your salah, your 5 times fard salah, but salat al-wusta. Some ulama felt taking the middle to be between Maghrib, from Maghrib onward, so the middle prayer would then be Fajr, and some took the daytime, so from Fajr onward, so the middle prayer is Asr. The more preferred opinion is that the Salat al-Wusta refers to Salat al-Fajr, because obviously we have a tendency to sleep. Those who were mentioning Asr were that people are so busy in their daytime worldly occupations that there may be a danger that they miss Asr. وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ, and it's not just enough to preserve it and offer it regularly, that's hafidhu, but you should also, when you do pray it, stand in front of Allah Ta'ala qaniteen, penitently, right, in obedience, devoutly, in devotion. فَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ فَرِجَالًا or rukbana, and if you're afraid, so this is about how to pray in times of warfare, that you may have to pray while on foot or while mounted. فَإِذَا أَمِنْتُمْ, and when you again have your state of peace and security and sanctity. So I selected this verse for this reason. These next words, فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَمَا عَلَّمَكُمْ مَا لَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْلَمُونَ. Then you should remember Allah Ta'ala the way He taught you. Allah Ta'ala has not in Quran mentioned the entire details of Salah. So this is a verse of Quran that is proof of hadith and the need of hadith, that when Allah Ta'ala is saying that, okay, when you're in normal situation, pray the way Allah Ta'ala taught you. How did Allah Ta'ala teach you? By revealing the method and details of prayer to the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he taught the Sahaba. And this is one of the many examples in Quran which point to the existence of a body of knowledge that is known as hadith and sunnah, and how we need hadith and sunnah, alright, to do amal on Quran. Alright. Verse 242, كَذَلِكَ يُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ آيَاتِهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. Thus does Allah Ta'ala make clear and manifest His signs to you, and can be His verses of His revelation, so that you may learn what is the true use of your akal, that the whole reason akal was given to us was not to use it independent of revelation. The whole reason akal was given to us was so that we could intelligently understand Quran al-Kareem on the basis of knowledge, on the basis of the prophetic teachings, on the basis of Ta'limul Kitab and Hikmah of Sunnah and Sirah, and not just on the whims and fancies of our mind. Verse 243, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said something beautiful about Himself, and a very tragic thing He mentioned about the reality of humanity. And what is that tragic reality? That tragic reality is that we are very ungrateful. Inna Allah ladhu fadlin ala nas. Indeed, Allah Ta'ala is the being of tremendous fadl, bounty, blessing ala nas, on all people. وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَشْكُرُونَ. However, tragically, the majority of people, they are not appreciative and thankful and grateful of the fazl that Allah Ta'ala has sent upon humanity. And so we should be very careful. We never want to fall. Elsewhere Allah Ta'ala says, وَقَلِيلٌ عِبَادِيَ الشَّكُورِ, that so few are the creatures of Allah Ta'ala who are shakur, who are deeply appreciative and grateful for His bounties and blessings. So we should make dua to Allah Ta'ala that increase His fazl upon us and increase our shukr of Him. And the very last verse finally for today, and alhamdulillah, with the karam fazl of Allah Ta'ala, we finish the second juz. We will finish the gems from the second juz. Wallahu yu'ti mulkahu man yasha'u. That Allah Ta'ala bestows kingdom on whomsoever He wills. Wallahu wasi'un alim. And this was the second divine pairing. So this is about absolute kingdom, relative kingdom, partial, not absolute, but kingdom in the sense of kingship, political kingdom and sovereignty. But it's also on any sense of dominion, power and authority. Allah Ta'ala gives it to whomsoever He wills. But Allah Ta'ala Himself, wasi'un, His power and might and knowledge is all-encompassing. So this is Allah Ta'ala is mentioning this attribute here to show us that any kingdom we get is just a kinaya. Everything actually falls under the all-encompassing kingdom and sovereignty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is Malik. He is Malik of everything. He is Alim. And Allah Ta'ala absolutely knows intensely what anybody does with any level of power, authority, kingship that may be bestowed upon them in this world. And the first thing is then to realize that came from Allah Ta'ala, and it's an amana. And I've only been given this power or authority from Allah Ta'ala to use it according to the teachings of Deen and Sharia and for the betterment of humanity. And the second thing is to know that wasi'un, that I myself fall under the kingdom and kingship of Allah Ta'ala like everybody else does. And third is to know that Allah is alim, that Allah Ta'ala is all-knowing of any and everything I will do. Wa akhiru ta'wana an alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. I will leave that for next time to share with you which ones were Imam al-Ghazali's and which ones were mine, inshallah, because time is actually short here. We have to pray. We have about another 50 minutes, but still it's time for me to pray Asr Salah, and the person is waiting for Jama'ah, and we make a lot of dua for all of you. We ask you to make dua for us and our family and for the whole Ummah, and that may Allah Ta'ala grant us the true understanding of Quran. May Allah Ta'ala forgive us for any mistakes in explaining Quran. May Allah Ta'ala protect you from any mistakes or any hypocrisies in me, and not make that a means of obscuring your understanding and practice of Quran. Wa akhiru da'wana an alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.